Well, good morning, chat. How is your Tuesday? How's your Chewsday? I'm sorry, I had to make a pun in the title and I didn't want to make it British, but I had to make it have a C because of chill. I did it to myself. I did it to myself. Chewsday, isn't it? I forgot the fishing game. I forgot the fishing game. Oh, no, don't open Chrome. It's right next to my Steam button, so every time I have to like... Where are you? Where's Lurkbait? There you are. British invading the carnival? Not the British! Oh, they couldn't invade a glass of water anymore. Come on. Come on. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But how are y'all doing? How is your Tuesday? Did you sleep well? Did you eat a good breakfast? I didn't because I don't eat for like 4 hours after I wake up. Is it bad for me? Maybe. Am I going to stop doing it anytime soon? No, because I'm not hungry. I ate an entire apple pie. Is that like... Wait, is that like in terms of like one of those like hand apple pies, or did you eat like a whole circular apple pie? I'm ick. I still have ick too. My nose still keeps running. The secret of British tree drinkers has already gotten in. No! Listen, Sunstar, I already knew that you were British. I knew you were British. That's not new. Hi, Hectic. How are you doing? Hold on a quick second. Not more Armstrong or Dane.
Making the mother of all omelets here, Jack. Cast bread over every egg.
Or Dane, I cannot believe that you constantly have enough points for that. But I guess it is only 1,000. That's... I mean, I guess that's fine. Oh no. Oh goodness. Oh no, watching Faye's videos has corrupted my feed. Now I have videos on fashion. Specifically, apparently, there's a video here on, can I make a corseted hoodie I'll actually wear? Huh. Very interesting. Parading was the British invading? No! Also, what the fuck is this video? The absolute state of horse games. Horse games? How many horse games can there possibly be? God, I did this to myself. I did this to myself. I know I did. The Barbie's Horse Adventure. Red Dead. Red Dead 1, 2, horse games. Yeah. I think there was one a while back, wasn't there? There was, what was it? There was one, I think I remember Zebby playing it. Skyrim is not a horse game. I wake up now in open stream. Life good. Oh, hi, Red. But I've been sitting here like in the entire like pre-roll trying to figure out what the fuck we're gonna watch. Yo, Abandoned Hot Springs? I'm sold. I'm sold. Japan's declining tourist destinations? That sounds cool. The horse armor incident? What is that? What is the horse armor incident? There are horses in Skyrim, so it counts? No, just having a horse does not make it a horse game. Add random horse to fish punk. Make a kelpie. It's a fish horse. Oblivion's horse armor DLC. Oh. Oh. Don't watch the Oblivion horse armor incident video. Listen, you can't reverse psychology me into watching that. Does Zelda count as a horse game? No, I'm talking about games that like focus around The, goodness. Ugh. Oh. I'm actually warning you. Okay, okay, just had to make sure. Just had to make sure. But, But yeah, I've been watching so much like retrospective videos like in my off time, especially when I was sick, that like my feed is so corrupted. Especially because I made the mistake of watching fucking Super Eye Patch Wolf like once, and now he's everywhere. He's fucking everywhere in my feed. But reviewing insane psychic readings? Oh no. Oh no. Psychics lied to us. Oh gee, who would have fucking thunk? Is that like Sniper Wolf? No, I think he does like debunking videos, it seems like. And video essays. Wait, now I gain points faster? Let's go. Yeah, you gain more. I'm trying to remember how much it is. I think regular sub is 1.2. Tier 2, I think, is 1.5. And tier 3 is 2 times. I think. I don't remember for sure. 1.4, is it? That's such a weird number. Can I check somewhere? How to earn? Okay, it is 1.4. Okay, there we go. I can see the whole thing. Watch for 5 minutes, get 10 points. Claim special bonus, get 50 points. Participate in raid, get 250. Follow the channel, get 300. Monthly first cheer, get 350. Monthly first gift sub, get 500. And then grow a watch streak, and you get up to 450 points each day. I don't know why they didn't make it 1.5. 1.4 is like really weird to me. Hi, Hex. How are you doing? Hold on a second. Actually, hold on a second, chat. I'm gonna go slump for a second. I'm gonna go grab a Mucinex because I forgot to take one this morning. Okie dokie. Thank you for sitting, Ordain, and thank you for the self-care. No, 1.2 is the base sub, is if you get a tier 1 sub. You fucking thought, no, Ordain. Rise? Why is your bird emote rise instead of like chaos or something? That's very interesting. But trying to see if I can find. There's so many like little like crime things and stuff on my feed, or like urban exploration or ghost story stuff. My brain isn't braining. Make it brain. No, we're doing brainless activity today. Freak Show is a chibi now. I am. Oh, that's not the. I don't think that's commonly called the rise emote. I'm pretty sure it's called like chaos. Because that's usually what like I search when I want emotes like that. So like if I put in chaos, I get like Palms chaos. But if I put in rise, I get like Jesse Cox's rising out of water for some reason. An emote I didn't even know I had. I did not know that emote existed. Had to borrow Marin's brain. Sorry. Yeah, I gave it to Sunstar for the rest of the week. I think Maya's evil is probably the best one. It does this like weird stretch and bounce and like a little bit of a zoom that I don't quite understand. Because in Discord, it's not animated for me most of the time. So like it even looks good when it's still. Angie? Angie? Is that all? No, like, pathetic? Come on. Come on. Okay. Oh, right, the Etsy magic video, which I've watched. I don't know why YouTube keeps recommending me shit that I've already seen. Like, there's fucking abandoned mine from the proper people for uranium miners that it's still recommending. What is wrong with my fingers? Suck it, I'm the best. Oh god, Death in the Water. Death in the Water 2. A game made almost entirely out of recycled assets and AI art. I haven't gotten any emotes in a very long time. Last time I got, I either made myself or were a gift. Listen, that bunny one is so fucking cute. Nodders, nodders. I still haven't recovered from my favorite emote list being shifted because those emotes that got removed could never find. Wait, what do you mean? Wait, which ones? Oh, hype? You can't find like the hype emote quickly? I can't do that either, mainly because if I want my hype, I have to like colon hype. And I have to scroll through all of Twitch's regular hype emotes to make it to like other people's like actual emotes, like the super hype. I think I may need to get another a version of that for 2.0. I could probably get QB to do. Actually, I could probably get Ash to do it because then it could be Ash's like Ash is excited. Ash is excited is so goddamn funny to me. Same thing with Ash's like slurp. Ash's slurp is so good. I want more Ash emotes so goddamn bad. Taking away her hype now. I mean, we'll get better ones. We'll get new ones. It's also, if y'all hadn't noticed, the old hype emotes and stuff were made back when people thought the design had like the black and red stripes were on single strands. So like that hair starts as red and then turns black instead of it being separate stripes. Wait. The fact that emote name is Design 73 is cool. Wait, what? Where's our new other emotes? They're on hold until 2.0 debut. Until full 2.0 debut. Emot? Emot's emote name is... Oh, okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, because it's designation. But it's been abbreviated to design. Strut, strut. I can't like put a hand up and just be like, slay, slay. Listen, it's fine. I want my own version of Yui's popcorn emote so bad. It still fits the horror vibe. There you go. Yeah, that's pretty close. I like that with each flick, the heart changes. That's kind of cool. Slay thine enemies! Yes, all the slay emotes. All the slay emotes under the sun. But... No. Not those new emotes. I want Marin, not like this emote. This is the worst part of custom emotes. Them being removed. Curse you platforms. Yeah, I do like the not like this emotes too. Let me see. I think there's like Ash does a really good one too. And again, I really want more Ash emotes. If you too want Ash emotes, you can donate to the Ko-fi. Because I keep forgetting to make a throne thing for it. because Ash's emotes are $60 a piece, which is a little expensive. Marin go no like this. Oh my god. Hi, Andre. Not like snow. Oh my god. Is that one of the Christmas emotes? That's not a very good emote. It's very weird to like, it's not very well conveyed what the snowman is doing. Aw, just a little hop. Ordain, just doing ordain things. How's your Tuesday going? I'm stuffed up. I can't believe the carnival's taking away our expressions. Listen, if we get partner, I can give y'all all of those emotes back, okay? Also, I think I just realized Finn actually has bigger boobs than everyone in the Slate emotes. Finn's look like they're purposely drawn bigger than every other template of the Slate emotes that QB made. That's hilarious. I woke up to the Baron stream starting and I'm happy. Hell yeah. Excellent. Oh no, not AMVs. What year is it? 2004? Gotta have a talk with Twitch then? Hey, listen. Just tell your friends. Tell them just come hang out. You know, put the tab on mute or something. Your ordained thing to do is to burden cast. Weird. Weird spells? Is that supposed to be weird? Weird. Weird! Enjoy your lurk with it. But I'm trying to see if there's other stuff about. I can't spell. Okay. Weird. It's okay, Ordain. People can't spell on Twitch anyway. That's nothing new. I think what's funny is apparently Dancing Bacon put out a video like a week ago, it looks like. And it's dining on the most luxurious bullet train in China. But in the thumbnail, it's a picture of a McDonald's bag. Why did they make the thumbnail a McDonald's bag? This video is actually crazy long. Holy shit. That's a 50-minute video. Dancing Bacon made a 50-minute video. Jesus. I guess it's for views because it's doing really well. It's already halfway to 1 million views. Okay, I hovered the thing and it looks like they do like... It looks more like they do like a convenience store haul. And then just eat it on the train. But they do have a solo hot pot place that I would... Oh, what the heck? That I would kill to go to. But spelling, I guess spells just don't words good. Amazing. Amazing. Wait, what? Marin flexing on the board, now on the friend list? What do you mean? What did I do? Flexing on the poor? I am the poor. Put all my money back into streaming. All my money goes to streaming and having a roof. Is that a fucking horse? Hold on a second. Whose horse is that? Sorry, I just scrolled down and I saw Sai's YouTube stream. And the thumbnail for it right now looks like there's like a horse head. And now Marin doesn't remember us? No! When did I say I didn't remember you? What are you on about, Sunstar? Zeus, you owe me many things. Now go and get that Marin partner. Oh my god. Zeus! It's Juan? The Juan hit only? Wait, what about Juan? Oh, is that the horse? Is that the horse's name? Is his name Juan? I realized my scription was expired and had to fix that. Hell yeah. Enjoy your teary hub. I need to see if I can get somebody to make like, because I know you can change the like indicator for the different months. So like how it has like those 3 stars. I know you can customize those, and I wonder what I could make them. I do need to get y'all new subscriber badges too, because the badges that I have are only like up to a year, I think. I'm pretty sure it's only up to a year. And then it's basically just the same one going forward from there. And I need to update it because I think I'm up to like 2.5 years of badges available. Something like that. You know what? Fuck it. By the power of the old lords, I summoned Exodia and destroy the world. I don't think that Exodia's goal was to destroy the world, was it? I'm pretty sure Exodia's like Exodia as like, oh, good lord. I'm at 31 months. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Okay, yeah, but that's also just over. That's just over the 2.5 years. I'm pretty sure. Don't know, don't care. I ain't looking up the lore. Oh my God. I'm making a joke. I don't have to know shit. Kong of the Hill? Oh, good lord. Ooh, good song. Creedence Clearwater. Yu-Gi-Oh! Lore is pretty wild. It gets so fucking bonkers post like 5Ds. Like any of the seasons past 5Ds, and you're just like, what the fuck is happening? Your jokes aren't accurate to carnival lore? So disappointed. Having knowledge behind your jokes makes them all the funnier. Knowing lore and knowing like if that's like a proper thing or just a made up thing is so much funnier. How could you, Ordain? How could you? Oh my goodness. All right. Tragic Mountain, the troubled creation of Magic Mountain theme park. Magic Mountain theme park? Chats? Do we do amusement park stuff today? Is that what we're doing? And the Latino boycott of Coca-Cola? Ooh. That I didn't know. No poopy knowledge. Noted. Yes, be smart. Use knowledge. Knowledge. Oh my goodness. Ordain, what did we learn today? Ordain. Oh. Wait, what the fuck? Somebody made a video of what if Monster Hunter's Devil Joe entered Jurassic Park? Listen, it's a 20-minute video. I can answer that right now. Devil Joe goes to Jurassic Park. Everybody dies. Everybody die. Let me see if I can find the really quick. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I need... Where is thing? There it is. Oh my God, it's big. Again, it's the equivalent of this. Everyone die. I hear my name. Devil Joe wins. Devil Joe always wins. I'm hoping Devil Joe shows up in Wilds. I really do. I want Devil Joe in Wilds. I want my Pickle Joe. Let's watch Quiet's very long video about the Bass Pro Shop pyramid. We could. I do keep seeing that around. I forget what the video was about. Is it about like starting a cult around the pyramid or something? Or was it something else? I don't want to set the world on fire. You ever see? I have seen Mini Minutemen. I know Mini Minutemen. Oh man, you guys want a blood orange chicken sandwich with some fish on a steak and a garlic pretzel? I joke, but that actually sounds good. What the fuck is that description? Blood orange chicken sandwich. What? Fish on a steak and a garlic pretzel. Is that one of the meals in Monster Hunter? Blood orange instead of regular orange? The weird thing too, though, you have to understand this though. Oh wait, who said that? It was Hex. Hex. If blood oranges exist in Monster Hunter, that means Monster Hunter takes place post Cold War. Because blood oranges are a product of nuclear gardening. There is a process in the US where they research the effects of radiation on plants by basically creating a tiny nuclear reactor in the center of a garden and planting a bunch of fruits and vegetables around it to see what would happen. And that's where blood oranges came from, which means Monster Hunter is the real world post-Cold War, probably post-apocalypse. Wait, is this just the Monsterverse? Is this just Monsterverse, but it's like 1,000 years in the future? Dragon element got in the oranges? Did someone say nuke? Oranges are in general? Oh yeah, I mean like, I think most citrus fruit is based off the citron. I'm pretty sure they're almost every other, like grapefruit, various types of oranges. I'm pretty sure they're all bred off of the citron fruits. Making my brain hurt. Listen, this would be a pickleocalypse. Oh my God. That'd be the funniest video to make where it's like, guys, that's a blood orange. Blood oranges are made during the Cold War. And it's just like you go and like, you have like a 20-minute video that's basically just a rant of being like, and that's why Monster Hunter is just a post-apocalyptic Earth. Lemons are also man-made. Yep. Lemons, limes, all that jazz. Here, let me get the chart. I need the chart, TM. I need the selective breeding chart. There it is. I'll save it. Because then what I can do from there... Okay, it is the JPEG. Thank God. Thank God it's a JPEG. Chart. Oh, no, it's tiny. Okay. This is the chart. Say hello to selective breeding and welcome to the wild mustard plants. That little thing there in the middle is the wild mustard plants. We bred kohlrabi, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, kale, and so many other vegetables and greens just from one species, just by selectively breeding. Yo, are those pickles? No. No, they are not. By snipping and essentially forcing a plant to grow in a certain way and then rebreeding it over and over, we were able to make these different... There's more too. There's more that branches off of what the wild mustard plant was made. Sunstar, I don't know how... It's so funny to me. Every time you hear the Persona song, you just hit exclamation mark Persona. I mean, yeah, technically dogs are all the same species. We have not bred dogs enough to the point where they're separate species. There's a distinct lack of pickles in this stream. I'm sorry, I don't have any pickles. I don't have any pickles on me. The instant activation on that, it's just... Yo, poggers? Do they grow like a stalk or do you dig it out of the ground and it's like that? What do you mean? You didn't realize? Oh, you didn't know what Brussels sprouts grow like? All right, hold on. Brussels sprout plants. If you go to some farmer's market, you can actually buy them like still on the stem. Here you go. They don't look real. I agree. But we're going over nya. Over nya. And then we're going to do this doohickey. Yeah, Brussels sprouts. They're so weird. It looks like a prank, right? It doesn't look real. Dog breeding is dumb, though. Just let them be mutts. It's more healthy for them. True. I found some keys. Do these belong to you? Keys, keys, keys. I lost my mind when I saw how pineapples grew. Oh, yeah. Yeah, just kind of on the top. Like this. Plants don't grow how I like. Proceeds to force breed it with multiple other plants to create the ultimate plants. It's not, you can't like force, you can't usually crossbreed plants super easily, but you can splice them. There was actually a thing that I used to do because I had to do experiments on botany splicing. And one of the things we would do is we would grow multiple species of tomatoes. And because the different species of tomatoes would, or the different like breeds of tomatoes and stuff would essentially have like different characteristics. I couldn't tell you the name of the breeds and stuff right now because I've long since forgotten. But like one we did would have like a really, really good root system and would take to its like pots and stuff really well. But its tomatoes were small and its leaves were like not super well for it. So it wouldn't grow very good tomatoes. So what we would do is we would splice off the root system, kind of not at the base, but pretty close to the base, basically below the first lateral bud. And then we would basically splice on the entire upper plant system of a tomato plant that actually grew much better fruit. Is that a red pineapple? Yeah. Ananas. They start out as red when they grow because they're flowers. Do we need to teach you about the process of how a fruit forms? All right, hold on. Let me go find a diagram. Oh, here's an apple. Okay, this is a good example. Okay, you are learning today, motherfuckers. Yes, fruit comes from flowers. So you can see an A up there. Those are the buds. Those are like the flower buds. Basically, essentially, the petals have been pulled off of these. And you can see where I'm trying to think of the name. It's not, I don't think it's the pistil region. But essentially, it starts to swell and store starch there to surround the seeds, which you can actually see in B already forming. So it sounds water is not like learning with Baron. Hell yeah. Shit me in my big mouth. Listen, Ordain, listen. Oh, fuck no school stuff. Ordain, you gotta learn. You got to learn, baby. It's okay. Unlike fucking ground apples. Wait, what are ground apples? But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Essentially, fruit is basically the seeds form after the flowers have been pollinated. They are surrounded by starch and or whatever sort of... Crab apples grow on trees too. But they fall off. But yeah. Yes, ovum. Basically, it's usually... Fruit is basically a various way for the tree to spread its seeds. In the case of like, it could be anything from animals eating it to then shitting them out to some of them essentially just getting stuck and they're rolling to places. Oh, potato. Okay. That sounds very much like a, that sounds very much like English as second language. Like it's like how you say a ground apple. Then what is a tomato, fruit or vegetable? It's a fruit. Tomato's a fruit. Here. Tomato flower. I used to grow tomatoes, see? Okay. It's pretty straightforward. It's a fruit. There's the flower. Here's also the flower up close. They're kind of pretty. And the same thing kind of happens on the inside. Look, you can even see the ovules that kind of look like tomatoes. Potato is a requirement for being a VTuber. Well, potatoes are tubules, which means they're roots. Tubers. They're tubers. But nobody believes me at my school? Wait, what do you mean? Ember! Ember, how was your stream? Welcome in. Oh, Mibble Ribble. Who are you playing as? Who you been playing as? I'm all nasally. I'm sorry. I'm all stuffed up. Stanced up. But I'm all nasally. How was your stream? Did you have a good time? Did you have a good stream? What trouble did you get into? What shenanigans were you up to? Did you bully anybody? Were you playing comp? Were you playing casual? Healers? Any specific healers? Or were you just jumping around to whatever was available to play? Plat 1? Jesus, everybody's playing fucking ranked. And I can't even get anybody to play ranked with me. But I don't want to play solo. So I haven't touched it. Again, it's like January 22nd, I'm pretty sure. Let me see. Where is it? There it is. Yeah, January 22nd. I once had a discussion in my old school about if tomatoes were a fruit or veggie. It's fruit. Tomatoes are fruit. Hey, chat, you want to learn about what berries are and aren't? Is it time to learn about what are and are not berries? Hey, chat. Did you know a banana is a berry? Raspberries and blackberries are not berries. Watermelons are berries. My knowledge is expanding rapidly. I'm so smart. On the upside, blueberries are actually berries. So like, also tomatoes are berries. Taxonomy can get fucky. For instance, holds up a plucked chicken. This is a man. Listen, that's not taxonomy. That's theology. Not theology. Fuck, what is it? If I eat one watermelon, I eat one berry? Yes. Exactly, Redain. That's not theology. It's... I'm trying to remember. What is the... Philosophy. That's what it is. It's philosophy. It's funny how half the damn berries that have berry in their name are not berries, and a number of fruit that don't have berry in their name are berries. Correct. Correct. Oh, do you want to know the two worst things that are totally berries that you do not want to think about too much? Eggplants. Eggplants are a berry. Pumpkins are a berry. Avocados are berries. Anyway, yeah, avocados are fruits. Eggplants are fruits. Amazing. Amazing. Baron go berry isn't a berry. This is so sad. Listen. that I don't think in VTubing you want to insinuate somebody is a berry, because people are too horny coded and they're gonna do some weird shit. Pumpkins are winter squash. Are they? Are they? Get blueberry? No. Do not put that out into the fucking world. Literally looking at the Wikipedia page. Ooh. But do you want to know something else? Do you want to know something else, Tanetu? You want to know something that's funny? Pumpkins are winter squash. Just a large variety of winter squash. Winter squash are berries. Squash are berries. They're large berries that we've bred to be larger than their intended original size. By characteristics, they are berries. Outer skin. Oh, what the hell?
It's lagging. Making the mother of all omelets here, Jack. Can't spread over every egg.
Largest berry? Hold on, let's see. What is the largest berry? Uh, okay, yeah, it is pumpkins. It's like the Goliath pumpkin breed. You know, the ones that those really weird farmers like grow to be like 700 pounds. You're stretching the definition. It's the botanical definition. It's the botanical definition. Mountains of fruits. I mean, yeah. I'm being licked. Wait, one of the Google questions is what is the king of berries? The blueberry. Excellent. Excellent. Small, pulpy, often edible fruit. Typical berries are juicy, rounded, brightly colored, sweet, sour, or tart, and do not have a stone or pit, although many pips or seeds may be present. But that wouldn't be an avocado. Hold on. Berry botanical definition. Weirdly enough, there's 2 separate Wikipedia pages for berry. Produced from a single flower containing 1 ovary. Defined include grapes, currants, tomatoes, as well as cucumbers, eggplants, or aubergines, persimmons, bananas, and exclude certain culinary definitions of berries such as strawberries and raspberries. Berry is the most common type of fleshy fruit in which the entire outer layer of the ovary wall ripens into a potentially edible pericarp. May be formed from 1 or more carpels from the same flower. Seeds are usually embedded in the fleshy interior of the ovary, but there are some non-fleshy exemptions, such as capsicum species, with air rather than pulp around their seeds. I like kiwis. Oh, okay. Kiwis are a compound ovary. Okay, that explains the weird, like, little center part. Ordain, don't think about it too hard. Phaedric just says things at times, okay? It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. Don't panic. Also, hi, Kenyato. How are you doing? Are you doing all right? Oh God, okay. Example of botanical berries include avocado containing a single large seed surrounded by imperceptible endocarp. Avocados are, however, also sometimes classified as drupes. I don't know what drupes are. A banana, a barberry, aka the Oregon grape, May apple, the strawberry tree, not to be confused with the strawberry fruits. Oh, okay. This is a different name. This is the madrone. Yeah, so like a regular strawberry, like the Americanized strawberry, is not a berry. But there's a strawberry tree, which is basically like the red, like hard outer shell looking ones. Coffee berries, gooseberries and currants, aubergine/eggplant, tomatoes, goji berries, elderberries, Indian gooseberries, Garcinia gummy gouda, which is a tropical fruit from South Asia, aka the brindleberry, and then margostana, which is the mangosteen, and then the kokum. Okay. Sopadilla, which is... Oh, Jesus, that has a lot of names. The soap apple? Interesting. Huh? Specifically wanted to have as many kids as she could because she wanted to eat... Anyway, grapes, honeysuckles, honeyberries. Ooh. Oh, those are weird looking berries. Oh my goodness. And then pumpkin, cucumber, and watermelon are all part of the same family. The Cucurbitaceae, Cucurbitaceae, aka the gourd family. Yay. How are honeysuckles berries? Here, let me, where are they? So honeysuckles themselves, the flowers, are essentially the berries of some species are edible and are called honeyberries. There's several types of honeysuckles, but there are types in other countries that flower into berries, and they're edible. How many fruit and veg did we make? Most of them. Most of them, honestly. Let's see. That's probably a Googleable question, actually. And veggies are... I wanted to know... I don't want to know which ones are man-made. I wanted to know, like, what percentage of marketable fruits and vegetables. I'm going to assume all of them. Because most of the time, like... Here, let me see if I can find... Because there's an old painting out there. Here it is. Here, we'll swing back to the gaming screen. Because there's an old painting that still shows what a watermelon used to look like. And it's this one. Watermelons used to have, like, mostly, like, sections. This is a very overripe one. You can see where, like, the white part of the rind extends all the way through to the center. And this is more what an actual watermelon looks like prior to our own breeding. Which is very cool. But yeah, this is an old painting, I think from the 1700s. It's a very cool painting. Anyway. Most banana flavoring is from an extinct banana strain. Also true. It's also the fact that bananas, at the time that we discovered them, were borderline inedible. Let me see if I can find old bananas, because they were essentially full of stones. Bananas today do not have seeds, but this is a pretty good example. This is a pretty good example. I keep jumping back and forth. I'm sorry, guys. This is what an old banana kind of looks like. They were essentially full to the brim with stones and seeds that you really couldn't eat. Yeah. But yeah, the whole thing was basically full of seeds. But yeah. There's probably untold species. Let's see if I can actually Google some extinct fruits. What fruits have we made extinct? Avocados and bananas are endangered. That's interesting. Okay, 7 extinct fruits. Unsalt pears, famous for its buttery taste and delicate scent, was cultivated in Angers, France in 1863 and was so delicious the Pears of New York book described it as a fruit of the highest quality. Unsalt pears are extinct fruit because they weren't reliable growers. Trees were irregular and didn't always produce edible pears. When commercial farming industrialized, unsalt pear trees just weren't reliable enough to bring farmers a steady income. Orchards were a problem too. Compared to vast fields of wheat, fruit orchards were just not profitable enough. Unsalt pears were replaced with more reliable pear species and became extinct in the early 20th century. Taliaferro apples. The Madagascar banana. Ooh, okay. Well, it's third on the list, and the first sentence is, the wild banana isn't quite extinct yet, but it's critically endangered. Madagascar bananas are related to the Cavendish banana that we eat across the United States and Europe, and one of Ethiopia's most important food crops. The Abyssinian banana. Deforestation and climate change are the reasons the banana is virtually extinct. It's not grown commercially, and its habitat is under threat. Hold on a second. Okay. I would eat them more? Ugh. But artificial banana taste is so different from regular banana taste. I like regular banana taste. I just called Luna Cavendish from Little Witch Academia Moon Banana. What? That's fucking hilarious. And there's actually one here that doesn't have a picture. Murray's plum, a wild plum once found in the Edwards Plateau and Trans-Pecos areas of Texas. Oh! It was discovered in 1928, but no one had seen one since then. It's listed as critically endangered, but considered extinct because the recent surveys haven't found any. If you want to go looking, it was a thorny shrub that reached 17 feet tall with hairy leaves. White flowers matured to red plums with white dots. Huh. Which eyes? Wait, which eyes look so neat? Hi, Warlord. Hi, Cressa. My eyes? There's also more. Woo! And this one. Anyway. Okay. Oh, this isn't a picture either. This is a salt flat for some reason. Judean date palm. The date was a staple food. It grew across the Dead Sea, the Sea of Galilee, and the Hula Valley. Date palm fruits are still eaten today, but it's thought the Judean strain became extinct due to climate change. The area it grew, it became gradually drier, and because dates are water intensive, it became too difficult to grow them. But in 2005, botanists sprouted a 2,000 euro Judean date palm seed. Ooh! Wow. It was the oldest seed ever sprouted with human help. Scientists have sequenced its genome and compared them with modern varieties to understand how date palms evolved. Ooh! Kalimantan mango, Jamaican guava. Extinction status. Taliaferro apple, cultivated by Thomas Jefferson at his estate in Virginia. Fruit experts believe it died out in the estate. What? Wait. Monticello Estate, just outside Charlottesville, Virginia. He reported to have stated that they made unquestionably the finest cider he'd ever known. Wasn't grown commercially and didn't make it far from the original orchard. Fruit experts think it died out in the original estate's orchard, like the Ansalt pear. It might not be entirely extinct, but the chances are slim it'll ever end up on a dinner table or in a glass of cider. Yeah, apparently he did. I mean, he had a 5,000-acre estate. If you want something nice, try to find plantains. They can be served baked, sweet, for flattened, starched, and almost like a smashed potato. Oh God, fried plantains are so good. Chat, if you never had the chance for like a fried plantain or something, God, find like your nearest like Jamaican restaurant or something and you could probably find it. It is so good. The time ancient Rome fucked up the plant Silphium into extinction. Was it, I forget, I don't think it was, yeah, it was used as a seasoning in Rome. Unidentified plant that was used in classical antiquity as a seasoning, perfume, aphrodisiac, and medicine. The exact identity of Silphium is unclear. It was claimed to have become extinct in Roman times. It's commonly believed to be a relative of the giant fennel. The extant plant, Thapsia gumifera, has been suggested as another possibility. Another theory is that it was simply a high-quality variety of Asafoetida, a common spice in the Roman Empire. The two spices were considered the same by many Romans, including the geographer Strabo. He's Discord Kitten. It was the contraceptive too. I don't doubt that. I am not surprised. Because that plant was apparently so popular to the point that it was like minted on their currency. It was such a big part of like their life that it was literally minted on their coins. Oh my goodness. Try find plantains to be served. Okay, I read that already. Do you know why artificial bananas don't taste like bananas? I don't think so. Not off the top of my head. But yeah, it has a pretty substantial Wikipedia page. Drawing of Heracleum spondylium showing its heart-shaped mericarp. Huh. But when's this drawing from? Okay. Banana flavor. Why doesn't artificial bananas taste like bananas? Fruit, good. Artificially flavored fruit candy, also good, but it never seems to taste very much like the fruit it's trying. In general, it's fine by me. Just try the Sour Patch watermelon. Signal by raid, not banana. This is definitely not banana. It tastes like disappointment. Season 2 of Mystery Recipe, a podcast from America's Test Kitchen Kids. Answered a question that burned up since I lost a tooth in a banana Laffy Taffy, i.e. the probable source of my bananamosity. Bananamosity. Okay. Doesn't taste like Cavendish bananas we typically buy in the grocery stores because artificial banana flavor wasn't developed based on that variety of banana. Based on a variety called the Gross Mitchell or the Big Mike. This variety of banana was the standard in America until the 1950s when a fungus essentially wiped out the Gross Mitchell. Michael? Gross Michael. All right, there's the ad break. All right, guys, iPad time. We're going to take a brief break. I'm going to take Coco out. A Big Mike banana. That's hilarious, actually. And I will be back in just a little bit. Don't burn anything down.
This world is what you need, where the monsters roam and the demons all feed.
Okay, guys, sorry that took so long. I took Coco out the backyard first, and then she knows better, because I didn't realize it at first, but it rained, and she doesn't like having her feet cleaned after she goes and get them like muddy and stuff. So she just stared at me for the longest time before I looked out and saw a puddle in the yard. It's like, oh, it rains. It's like, okay, we'll go to the side yard. No, Ordain, no chaos. No chaos. And I was nibbling on cheese puffs. I love cheese puffs. Why are cheese puffs so good, chat? Why are they some of the best chips out there? Raiders, what? Vanny! Vanny! What happened? What were you doing? Welcome in, Raiders. I'm so sorry. You were just chatting. I'm so sorry. Welcome in, Vanini Panini. I'm sorry. Somebody said that the other day, and I was like, that's it. You're Vanini Panini. Vanini Panini. But welcome in, Raiders. Those of you from Vanny Stream, if y'all are still here that don't know me, my name is Mar, and I'm the ringleader of the Dark Carnival. Usually I play games that are dark, spooky, terrifying, or just whatever my little inclinations like to get into. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we do very chill streams, and in which case I say very chill because it's chill for me, sometimes haunting for others. But Tuesday is a really chill day. We usually like to do food videos or just goofy shit in general. And then Thursday is usually a day where we do spookier things, where we hang out, we chat about spooky shit, World of Darkness stuff. And it usually devolves into things like watching paranormal investigators be idiots or, goodness, or urban exploration. By the power of Zeus, I cast Electric Storm. Electric Storm? Banini, banini. Stop coughing. Ah! All right, hold on. Hold on. Musket cough drop. Okay. The Bushikan, it looks like a mutant. Oh, I know the one you're talking about. The Buddha's hand lemon. Musket cough drop. Muskets must get, Carrie. Must get. Jesus, woman. Delete. Yes. Damn it, Carrie. Fairbonks. It doesn't have its stick fate. I'm not going to eat it. God, I hate that that's quote 1000. Based and correct. I'm full of based and correct ideas. But we are going to swing over. Oh, yeah, this is me reading the article from before. Anyway, get out of here, Twitter. I can't risk opening you. We're going to do some chill shit. And by chill shit, I mean make all of ourselves hungry. Chat, I hope you ate today. Which is why I'm a little glad I was eating those cheese puffs during the commercial break. I'm full of based and correct ideas. True, and my tits are awesome. Please and thank you. Please come again. The Mr. Jekyll? The Jekyll and Hyde by Five Finger Death Punch? Damn, I just finished lunch. Good. Good, then you're not going to be hungry for this. Carrie, are you proud of this? Are you proud of yourself? There was, I mentioned I went to a conveyor belt sushi for the first time on my own. No, I didn't go on my own. I went with my sister. I don't know why I said on my own. I went for the first time, finally found one, but it's like an hour and a half away. Ooh, popcorn. Oh, right, they have their own captions. I don't need this one. Caramel butter. Robots are so painful to do? Huh, who would have thought? But I went there and like, it's basically inside sushi. I was thinking about going down tomorrow. Yeah, I think I may go down tomorrow. I'll probably get up early, go to the gym, and then I may go down because I want to go try that. There's a Korean fried chicken place in the same strip mall. There's also a hot pot place right next door to the sushi place and a Korean barbecue place across the lot. Hi, Rama. I'm doing pretty good. I'm hanging out. We're vibing. We're doing chill shit and totally not going to make ourselves hungry and or upset with the different cost of food. Totally not going to be upset about it. It's only $8. Ramen here is like 14. And it doesn't even look half as good as that. I went to a ramen place like a couple weeks ago at one of the food halls here, and they hard boiled their ramen egg. That should be illegal. Never understood why so many people say it's expensive. I think my biggest problem, the first, like, when I move out of the US, I think my biggest problem is gonna be like, oh, food is so cheap. I'm gonna get like, what's the equivalent of like 3 meals? Oh my God, it's Big Gay Mikey after we found out that the original American banana strain was Big Mike. How you doing, Big Mikey? Ichiran, this is a chain. I don't even think this is great ramen in Japan. The thing is this is a hot pot restaurant. This is a hot pot restaurant. This man just puts food back, so he's like showing off the other stuff that they have. At least it's supposed to be a hot pot restaurant. That's what it said. That's what it says at the top. Quail egg. Quail. This is $8 for this ramen. I would fucking fight somebody for this ramen. So you're saying I killed Mike in the 50s? Oh God, you're right. Oh my God, I did kill Mike. Yeah, this man's doing an appetizer, even though this would be like a full meal for me. $30 for a bowl? Oh my God. Oh, that broth looks so good. But yeah, this guy puts back food like no one's business. I hope you're doing good, Rama. Long time to see. Hi, Zim. How are you doing? Who killed me? I just climbed out of hell. I mean, you are Mike Helsing. I'm curious. Okay, chat, hold on. So he's shown a thing recently, and I found out recently, apparently there's a thing with Americans not liking touchless menus in the case of like having like a QR code for a menu. I need ones in chat if you like QR codes as a menu option, and twos if you hate it. I genuinely like QR code menus because then you don't have like the shitty, nasty menus that 40,000 people before you have like held on to it. And then the business doesn't have to like replace it over and over. It's a super easy program most of the time to just add in and remove new menu items. And you can do it on the flash. Like you can 86 stuff basically instantly. so that for like the rest of the night, you don't have to be like, I'm sorry, we don't have the Cajun pasta anymore. Somebody ate all the last of the sausage, so it's not on the menu tonight. And then you have to tell that to 30 plus people. The big menus with small print are starting to overwhelm me. I mean, usually when it comes to these like apps and stuff, they have better accessibility than a paper menu. I summoned a bridged Alucard. Oh no. That was a 70-inch plasma screen TV. So, how can I help you? There's some places I've been that I like it because they're cute menus, but still. Started using QR code menus. Good. I think it's a good thing. I think more places should have QR menus. It's easier on your waiter and waitresses. It's easier on you to 86 things as well as add new dishes and stuff or change it throughout the week. Dim sum places where they hand you a disposable paper menu, you mark. I do like that. That is also a very interesting thing where it also removes like a good portion of the like necessary work. Hot pot time. Ooh. I did expect something smaller, actually. Oh, no. Oh, my God. Wait, how much is this? Personal ramen solo booth has become a personal hot pot solo booth. Okay. Fuck! It's $8! Why? It's $20 for all the food that this man is eating. Hi, Kono. Thank you for the 3-stream streak. What are you doing, Goob? God damn it. Costs a bit extra. Oh. Some kind of fruit drink. It doesn't look like a slushie, but it does have whipped cream on top. It's very interesting. Oh, I didn't realize the broth was already in the bowl. Strawberry snow mountain. Okay. Stabs it like it's bubble tea. Thank you for self-care. Hi, Tommy. Don't put something on your menu if you can't provide it for the entirety of your business day. That's usually the case. The thing is, though, is you usually realize you run out of ingredients whenever you're like, oh, we're out of like, let me think, what would be a thing? We're out of andouille sausage for this pasta. And like one of the chefs runs into the refrigerator or the freezer and is like, boss, there's not any more back here. I think we're out. And that's the point. It's almost always midday, essentially mid rush when you realize that you're out of shit. It's kind of hard to keep full stock while you're working. Was he just using the full egg? Usually he adds more stuff to the egg. Oh. Kona, what trouble you getting into today? Do you still have the ick too? I still have phlegm. I tried the other day. I actually tried taking allergy medicine and I think it worked. So I think maybe what I have lingering is allergies, like allergy effects. Sort of, kind of, maybe. I always want to make hot pot at home, but I literally don't have any grocery stores that sell these kinds of things. Like most of these ingredients I can't get at my fucking grocery stores. Nice try, cool. I can get like tofu and I can probably get... Actually, I did find out recently my grocery store now has Napa cabbage. Broth is getting low. I requested a top up. Comes back with a ramen bowl of broth. Amazing. Ooh. Hot pot sure looks yummy. It does. But like none of the mushrooms are available at my grocery store. None of the mushrooms. And I probably could get like the meat cut for me at the meat markets. They're Inaki. Inaki. Yeah, but my grocery store doesn't have them. Which is sad. Because they always look so good. Look at those things. Have y'all seen, what was it? Have y'all ever seen like enoki tempura? Like the deep fried mushrooms? I don't know why, but those always look so good. I think there's just something about the way that like enoki mushrooms basically look like spaghetti, I guess. In like a weird way, like pasta. Obora soba. Ooh. We're going to have to put Marin in a ball? Why are you gonna have to put me? Oh, okay. Like one of the plastic balls. Is that what you mean? One of those like plastic balls, the like bubble me. I'm gonna have to become the bubble kid. All right, chat, let's see what an abandoned section of tourist area looks like because tourism is never sustainable. Anyway. Did someone say Marin go bald? No. No one said that. In ASMR eating vids? That makes sense. It's because a lot of ASMR eating vids have like, they make like a lot of Asian cuisine, especially like hot pots and stuff. Ooh, wait, did y'all see that mosaic? Kawaru Onsen is a declining hot spring town. I'm gonna open 5 packs of Pokemon cards. Be right back. Give me the codes!
今回は北海道にある川湯温泉に向かうんですが、周辺の観光
Like to head to Hokkaido while visiting the surrounding tourist spots. Okay.
現在も活動を続ける硫黄山を源泉とした温
Mount
泉
Ego,
地
which
で
is still active
場所
today.
は
Okay.
北海道
I mean, you
の
are on the Pacific
石川県
Rim, so that makes
東
sense.
に摩周湖、西に屈斜路湖を望む大自
Show
然
me
に
the
囲まれた
abandoned town.
硫黄の香り
Hi,
立ち込め
oranges.
る温泉街です。
Actually, do we want to do this or do we want to do food chat? Do we want to do this? Do we want to do food? I've never seen this person's videos before. We could go back to like street food. I want to visit Hokkaido. I want to go to Japan someday too. I'm going to go visit a kami. Pacific Rim mentioned brain goes straight to Jaegers. Listen, did you immediately hear the... I always think of the theme. I always think of the theme.
殺菌力が高く皮膚の疾患にいいようです。
Oh? Wait, what?
レモンも酸っぱくて
More sour than lemons, that if you soak a nail,
2-3週間
it'll melt away in 2 to 3 weeks? What?
そんなすごい泉質を持つ川湯
Amazing spring qualities while visiting surrounding tourist spots. Those are all barns.
まず最初に川湯温泉から約32キロの
I'm glad they never decided to milk the franchise with the soulless sequel like many others did. Smile? Yeah.
目指します。
Yeah. No sequel. Only one Pacific Rim movie ever made, and it was really, really good. And they didn't fuck it up later. There was, I think it was sometime within like the year that Pacific Rim came out. I went on a cruise. Like I got dragged on a cruise by my dad. And on the cruise, they played Pacific Rim effectively on repeat on every television. Like there was one of the channels that were on the TVs on the cruise played Pacific Rim on repeat. And then they had a movie screening night in one of the theaters where they put up like a big projector screen and stuff and then played Pacific Rim that way. It was everywhere on this cruise. I probably watched that movie like 6 times over the course of the week of this cruise. Oh, that was actually oh, is he fishing? No, he's walking somewhere. A dam? That would look like a weird kind of like brick wall dam. Oh, but it's so pretty, chat. Chat, I'm listening to your verdicts. I need to know your verdict. Do you want to watch this and see how calm it is? Or do you want to do food? I can find food. Or God, do we see how to drink? I like the calm. Hi, Faye. How are you doing, Faye? Calm. Okay, I like clam. Okay, we're doing food now. Clam. You'll get clams and you'll like it. Oh my God, it's so gorgeous. Oh, why is it so blue over there? Oh, it's probably a spring lake, I'm guessing, because it doesn't... God's Child Pond. Yeah, it looks like a spring lake. It looks very much like the spring lakes I've seen here, because there's actually some in Texas. They're usually very, very blue, and it's more than likely being fed from the spring right underneath it. Species of char that lives in cold water. Ah. It does look really gorgeous. There's always something ominous about like long trees just stuck underwater like that. Does anybody else get like the heebie-jeebies by like things just being underwater, even in clear water? Oh, wait, already going home? Oh, okay, gotcha. Nah, because I'm under the water too. Listen, when you're under the water, it's great. It's totally fine. When you're like above the water and you can see it like under you or you feel it, I hate that. I hate that. It's like the difference of me being like getting the heebie-jeebies when I'm swimming versus when I'm diving. Diving is very different. Oh? Oh, darn it. I missed what he said. He's talking, but there's no captions now. You missed some captions, sir! Oh, wow. You can't see the lake like super well or anything, but like the trees, the shadow of the hill on the other side. HB fan, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Burb. Oh wow, a lot of burbs. Shockingly, a large amount of burbs. Oh, probably. Haven't bought any souvenirs. Hold on, I want to see if anybody else has this bad habit. So when I go for souvenirs, I always have this bad habit of getting stuck between like a materialistic souvenir. In the case of like, when I travel in the US, I usually get, if I go to a destination and I really like it, I get a mug and a shot glass. But I also always think about like food. Anytime I'm at like a souvenir place and I look at like the food souvenirs, I'm always like, oh, this would be great, but it'd be gone in like 10 minutes. And then I end up getting a mug and a shot glass. Anyway, I like my mugs, okay? I have a lot of fun mugs from around the US. Chocolate tablets. Wait, I like the bag. How are you doing, HV? Welcome in. Okay, the fog cleared. Ooh. I like how high they made the railing. How many people have been to like the shot glasses available in the merch store? Did somebody say merch? Yeah, there's shot glasses. If you like our little show mascot, which hasn't made technically a full debut of it, I actually have the shot glass right next to me. He's cute, he's adorable, and these are sturdy as shit. We also have whiskey glasses, not quite highball glasses, but like pint glasses. I don't tend to do souvenirs. I think souvenirs are nice. Mallet merch. We also have apparel if you want to check out the Uwu Market. I already bought my crew neck and hoodie. It's Chewsday, isn't it? It is Chewsday. Ooh. Ooh. What is Buddha-don?
マシューコがよく見え
Buddha.
ます。
What is Buddha? It looks like eel. It looks like eel. but eel is unagi, or I think it's
すごい
onagi.
ね、燻製の匂いがします。
There's your bone-in wiener, Faye. Faye, there's your sausages with bone-in. Like, I got a replica dinosaur tooth from the La Brea tar pits in Hollywood. Ooh! God dang it! Well, unagi is salt water. Fresh water. I think unagi is fresh water. Salt water is onagi. And technically, the unagi eel is endangered, if I remember correctly. I prefer my sausage boneless, thanks. Too bad you're getting your sausage bone in this time. Oh, mining industry.
硫黄山は約 3.5 から 2.5 万年前に形成された
Ooh.
日本最大のカルデラクッシャロカルデラの中央に位置し、標高は512メートル。現在も絶えず活動しています。
Baculum sausages? Oh no. A pork bowl, okay.
目の前に見える噴煙が硫黄山です。
Is the bone in a sausage?
日本一近くから噴気
Yes.
口の鑑賞ができる活火山で、噴気口はなんと
Oh.
1500以上あるそうです。山のほとんどは立ち入り制限区域に指定されているので、
That's a very
登山はできません。
That's a big parking lot. You can see the hot springs steaming in the cold air. Okay.
いや、すごいですね。
You beat me to the joke? Oh
硫黄
no.
山です。アイヌ語でアトサヌプリっていうみたいですね。
I knew.
ちょうどね、この山の
Is I knew one of
頂上
the
に太陽が出てて幻想的にな
what's
って
the
ま
word?
す。
I know in like China they have like a bunch of minority groups
行ってみます。
that all still have like their own independent culture. Is Ainu one of Japan's minority groups? I don't know what else to call them. I don't think tribe is the right word. Okay, that makes sense. Cause I know China has like a bunch of them. Thanks, Red Note. Thanks, Xiao Hongshu. Ciao. From the north? Okay, that makes sense. Wait. I'm trying to remember, isn't the oldest... I want to say the oldest preserved human body in archaeological finds, specifically like Homo sapiens, is a member of the Ainu tribe, I'm pretty sure. From Baglander migrants a couple thousand years ago. Yep.
寒い。
I'm pretty sure he was. I bet that smells delightful. I bet it smells like fucking eggs. As soon as you enter, there's a space to the right where you can see Mount Ito. Oh, Io, not Ito. Io. Io? Strings. No touch. Oh. Ooh. Oh, this is the model. Okay. I thought it was a rock for a second. More birds. Okay, I'm starting to think those birds have something to do with the region. Does anybody know what those birds have to do with the region? It looks like a type of tit.
これ。
That's not an innuendo.
秘密。
It looks like a snow bush tit. Please and thank you. Please excuse the crudity of my model. Of what?
うまっ。
See, I'll buy one of those birds. They're cute. Time for the onsen.
寒い。
Oh, they are traveling with a van. Oh.
雪積もってきました。
Pointing at the snow on the car as if you can't see the falling snow. Yo, I see that K car. Hold on a second, I got a cough. Okay. What do you mean, Celador? What do you mean the crudity of my model? What did you do? What have you done? What have you done? Damn silent cough. You're not getting coughs for free. Oh?
開湯は明治19年で硫黄採掘職人向け
Started
の
as a hot
予
spring
約が
inn for
始まりとさ
sulfur
れています。
miners. Beware the undermine. I don't. Every time I think of fucking something miners, I think of the underminer.
アカンが国立公園の
Beware the
候補地にいることで
underminer.
にわかに賑わい
I would
始め
say
たのが
I have not
大正
seen
末期です。
any of the newer Incredibles
昭和にな
movies.
ってから温泉街として
Damn.
栄え始めました。しかし
Don't put a price
その
on
後
it either.
戦火の拡大で
Ooh.
観光業が停滞。
Oh,
戦後は
antlers.
子供の火遊びが原因で市街の
Burned down due to children playing with fire?
11世帯が全焼するなど
Children crime brulade the
幾度の困難を
town?
乗り越えて最盛期の1991年には年間73万
Oh.
4000人の宿泊客が訪れました。しかしその後は宿泊者
Wow,
数
you
の
can
減少
actually
が続
see
き
the decay in the
東日
signs
本
on the
大震
temple.
災による自粛ムード、北海道胆振東部地震の影響、
Impact of the Hokkaido
さらに
Eastern. Okay,
新
spread of the new
型コロナウイルス
coronavirus.
感染拡大の影響もあり、2020年の宿泊客は9万
Oh
1000人
wow,
まで落
less
ち込み、
than 1/8
現在
of
は
the
休業したままのホテルや廃墟が景観上の問題となっていま
Abandoned
す。
hotels and ruins are a
それだけで
landscape
はなく、
problem. Is
ホテル
he saying that because of the
旅館の
earthquake?
廃業による人材の流出などで
Because of the great earthquake that happened before?
1960年に1万3000人の人口が
He did just mention
2023
that.
年には6700人弱まで減少したそうです。
I can't tell if that was mineral buildup on that pipe or if that was like
古く
frost.
からアイヌの人々にセ石別と呼ばれていました。川湯の由来は
Oh.
石別を意訳したものです。この遊歩道川湯岩盤テラスは川湯温泉を象徴するエリア
What am I
で、
looking
私
at?
が訪れる1ヶ月前に改装が施されています。衰
Is
退
it-
する中での温泉街の整備の理由なんですが、
Is it
なんと川
are
湯温
those
泉に
pumps? Are those like
星野
little
リゾートに
pumps?
進出が決定しました。
Is it people pumping water out to whatever their little like tourism spot
環境省
is?
による川湯温泉まちづくりの再生事業です。これは
And that-
川
oh
湯
yeah?
温泉
Hi,
が生き
HB.
残るチャンスかもしれません。
Yeah,
しかも
I try my
星野リ
best.
ゾートの温泉
I
旅
try my
館
best.
ブ
I'm
ラ
a
ンド
little
会
sick
で
still.
私も伊東温泉
I still have
の
the
宿泊したことがあります
and the fin.
が、文化や自然、ご当地
But I really need to make a reel. I want to make a reel this year, but they're a little expensive. I talked to somebody recently about recording and getting like some vocal help, but it was something like $700. Also, people abandoning the town. Apparently, there's a big issue in some more rural areas. That makes sense. Japan does have an issue with like people moving and urbanization over urbanization in the case of like people flooding to major cities. Oh, no, what I'm saying is like it's basically like the older population living in rural areas are either dying off or moving because it's easier to like take care of your elderly in urban areas. I've heard horror stories about Japanese bugs. Japanese bugs seem so cool. I want to go beetle hunting. I want to go looking for big beetles. You have a what? A quag? A quag? What do you mean quag? Sulfur containing, iron containing. Oh, wait, he's actually got so specific on the type of iron. Iron 2 and 3. Public bath, opposite the footpath, so I'll go there. Okay.
川湯公衆浴場到着です。2024年9月にリニューアルオープンした
Oh, what is that
公衆
mound?
浴場で1958年に創業し全国の温泉ファンから
And it has
愛されて
steps
き
for
た
some
温
reason?
泉ですが、2022年に経営者の高齢化と
Closed in 2022 due to the aging of the management and the deterioration of the facilities. I mean, yeah, like, I'm very curious about what that little spot was, because it looking at it, it looks like most of it is dried up in the area on that spot for whatever reason. That's another thing I want to do, though, is I want to go to a public bath. Chat, do you remember when we found out that Texas had public baths? That Texas has a hot spring row? Do we need to see if we can look that up? I remember. It's a little weird, though. There's some concerns because all of their websites are like, you have to be completely naked in these certain areas. Completely. The human urge to go into the woods and find a big beetle and go, whoa, that's a big bug, and then pick it up and take it home. Oh, those flags are so cool. Oh my god, one of those things looks like a miniaturized version of Goemon. That is a good poster, damn. I love these old ads. That was like I was saying when we were playing Paranormal HK. Get your bat beaten with sticks? Ever been to a Turkish bath? No. Here it's one of them I remember being Roman style, and then another one was actually Korean style. 500 yen for adults. So about 350. 350. Remember, chat, it costs about 350 to take a bath. No, I have not. Well, actually, maybe one of them was Turkish. No, I only remember a Korean in like Houston. Like one of the places was in Houston. And then the hot spring row one was Roman style. Goddamn Loch Ness monster! I ain't giving you no tree fitty to take a bath. Come on, chat. Tree fitty. I went to Japan. I was nervous to go into the onsen because I don't like being necky. I mean, once you're in it, it's not so bad. I mean, even then, it's probably not even that bad because like everybody has an understanding. We'll probably pull it up after this because we can check the website. There's no like nudity or anything on the website. And like many of them have like a very strong like understanding where they're like, everybody's coming in to be comfortable both with themselves and with other people. So like you don't have to feel embarrassed, or you shouldn't feel embarrassed when doing something like this. But the thing with me is I am completely shaven. And it's not great. It's not great where they would probably tell me to go. Now, if I could just have like a waist towel or something, we'd be a-okay. It'd be totally all right. But the area is very much like emphasized like total nudity. Yeah, they very much like emphasize on the website too. That's like, if you like stare or make anybody uncomfortable, you will be kicked out and banned. Largest caldera. Oh, so it's likely a collapsed volcano. Shaved. I am shaved. Is being shaven a problem? No, but it's usually, it makes people's junk look weird, especially on an adult. And when I go out in public, it's basically a coin toss on how I get addressed. We've hit the pretty good point where it's like, where somebody has to like stop and be like, sir, no, ma'am, sir, boss, poobah. It's drafty. It's always drafty, but it's usually like a few sections. Again, we'll pull it up later, and there's like, it's only like the bathhouse room and stuff. It's a bit open. How open could it be? Completely open. Ooh. I'm going to transform a little. Quickly does Kamen Rider transformation. Hugh Jackman went to an onsen? Wait, he did?
誰かメガネ忘れてますね。
Oof, the worst thing to
何度も
forget.
注意書きがあります。浴槽内はかなり滑るそうです。
I mean, that makes
めっちゃ
sense.
寒いです。
Usually there'll be like mineral buildup on the bottom of these things, or
寒い。
and the rocks get slippery and
ぬ
shit.
るかったらもう終わ
If
りで
it's
すね。
lukewarm, it's over.
お、魚が泳いでる。
Oh, there's fish. Really?
ぬるい。あ、そうでもないか。
I mean, you can see the steam on it, so at least it's gotta feel better than like the open air.
ぐらいですかね。40度。
40 degrees Celsius. What is that in freedom
ぐらい
units?
ですで
I don't remember what it is in freedom
意
units.
外と人が砂利になってて滑らないですね。はい。あっこでね、こっち見て妻がめちゃくちゃ
Wife was looking and was laughing so hard.
多分ねあれはけなしてますね。
Very hot? What do you make it? What do you think it's very hot? 110? That's pretty good. That's a pretty good temperature.
ちなみにね、
That's a pretty comfortable temperature. I probably shower hotter than that.
こんなね、雪のかぶった山と
Oh, it used it as a neck towel. That's hilarious. I mean, it's also a thing where like usually it's modesty is totally understandable, but it's also like people are confident sometimes in these things. I like the stone that kind of, I think it looks like it's some kind of like guardian stone or something. I cast 500 degrees. No, because then it would start boiling, Ordain. You can't do that.
これはね、
There's a bunch of plant matter and stuff.
汚れではありませんのでご安心ください。やっぱり野湯なんでね、ちょっと
Relax, it is not dirt. Point at him. Filthy!
苔のようなものが浮いている。
Therapists often use bundles of leafy branches called finnick, typically made from birch or oak, to gently beat or massage the back and body.
ダメだと思
Ooh.
います。砂利じゃない岩の部分は
Say!
苔のようなもの
Say,
で
oh, you're still here. You said 104.
この
Hey!
辺も源泉が湧いてます
Are we gonna go sauna surfing?
ただね、ちょっと
Imagine being able to reach your back.
なかなか温まるまで
Are you telling me you haven't been doing your stretches, Rin? You should be able to touch your back.
冬はおすすめしません。あんまり
What do you mean I can't do that? I sure can. Wait, which part?
寒い
The 500, oh, 500 degrees? No, bad. Cease.
寒すぎる
Yes, yes, we are. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
間違えて女子更衣室に入ってしまいました
My clothes aren't in here. What the fuck?
寒い寒い寒いでもちょっと
Was he saying
体が
sorry?
ポカポカしてますね
It sounded like he was saying sorry over and over. It's like, who are you apologizing to? The little guard there, the little like wooden guard there thing is really interesting. Is the lake warm? Wait, that'd be interesting. Oh, we're going to another onsen? Oof, cold? Okay. And waterfall viewing and seeing that. Yes! Yes! Sold. Sold so hard.
ちょっとお客さんが入浴してて撮影できないんですけど、こちらもね湖を眺めながら
You can also take a bath while looking out over the lake. The funny thing too, looking at like this kind of like touristy, it's very utilitarian in like this onsen town, and it reminds me very much of like American lake towns. Ooh. Well, at least they're building stuff. Oh, wow. Scissor lifts. Continue enjoying my trip to Hokkaido. Wait, is he still making his way to Hokkaido? Okay, that's the end of this one. I'm gonna pause this really quick, and then let me see if I can find the Texas bathhouses. There's Club Houston, a gay sauna. That's what it's marked as on Google. That's hilarious. Oh, there's the Z, also a gay sauna. Club Dallas, also a gay sauna. Okay, yeah. I think the Austin bathhouse is one I remember. Okay, this is the one I remember, but this isn't one of the two that I thought was really cool. Spa Castle Inc. That's not it. Oh, good Lord. Oh, good Lord. Okay, hold on. Is it King Spa? Is King Spa the Korean one? Maybe? Question mark? It's definitely not Glow Sauna. Definitely not that one. It's not Spa World Houston. Okay, hold on. Texas. Hot Spring Row. Bathhouses. Is it... That's Emporium. Baths and Spas. Is that it? This looks like another one, but I don't think this is the one that I was looking at. Maybe it's the Ozark one? Let me see. Oh no, this is Arkansas. Why is it showing me Arkansas? Okay, hold on. Texas, Korean. Go back. Go back. Maybe that one is King Spa. Oh no, here's Gangnam Spa Healing Paradise. I don't think this is the right one though. Okay, no, I think it is actually. Okay, yeah, it is. This is the Korean one that I remember. And then what the fuck? What the fuck? Interesting. Yeah, this isn't the one that I saw originally. And I don't think... That man's naked! I want to find the one that was like... really, really nice. I need the... Wait, is this one actually in Arkansas? Why did it tell me it was in Texas before? Let me do the Texas Hot Springs. Oh, well, we'll do the Korean one. King Spa and Water Park? What the fuck? Okay. Okay, yeah, we'll just do the Korean one really quick. And I'll give you all the music. All right. Say hi to Gangnam Spa in Houston. I'm nowhere near Houston, so I'm not at all concerned. Yay, gay bathhouses. There's so many gay bathhouses in Texas, apparently. But look, it's neat. Co-ed facilities, gender-separated facilities. There's both high temperature and low temperature. Balkama, which are basically like saunas, Korean saunas. Jade flooring, topaz caves, which these are basically like warm little like solo things that you can kind of chill in. Boats! That's a nice boat. Good news, I have 10K again. Boats. That is a nice boat. That is a good boat. All right. Oh, two lounges where it basically just is higher concentration. Nano clay room, which is again like a special type of sauna. Foot spa, just a little room where you get to soak your feet. Salt room, I don't understand that. Igloo room in a restaurant. Yeah. And the thing is as far as I remember, you basically pay for the whole day. So like you have access to the place all day. Ice room, my favorite sauna. Yeah. There's Japanese style showers. Well, kind of Japanese style, but it's probably also a thing in Korea, I'm guessing. Dry and steam saunas, hot and cold baths. It's pretty neat. Let's see, how expensive is it? Weekday admission, $50. That's pretty good. Even for the weekend, $58. Still pretty good. Is that where they season us? Yes, you get seasoned. You have to go to a steam sauna, you go to the ice room, and you repeat that 3 times before you go sit in the Himalayan salt room for an hour. And then you go repeat the steaming and ice room again until you are properly seasoned. And then there's facial services, body scrubs. These are just extra things. Because, like, just getting the hip bath. Ooh. Premium massage chair. Oh, God. And then they have memberships. Slow cooked ren. Rendered over 6 hours. Self brine. Correct. Or does this count as, what is it? Salt curing. I think that's salt curing, isn't it? I mean, perhaps it is. But I think this place is cool. I think it's neat. Like, look at this. Oh, okay. This is just telling me what's in the co-ed section. I missed that. And then there's gender-separated showers, saunas, and hot and cold baths. But it's apparently like a whole facility. Like, this place is huge, it seems. And it's down in Houston. Not me about to grab Goopy next time I'm anywhere near Houston. Oops. Must wear uniforms in all co-ed facilities. And I'm trying to remember the guide and policy. There it is. Goodness. Payment for services appointed will be due at check-in. Admission is required for all guests to enter the spa and receive service. Please arrive at least 30 minutes prior to your appointment to avoid fees or your service being cut short, as we only guarantee the time of your original scheduled appointment slot so that we may honor other guests' appointments. Body scrubs require at least 15 minutes soak in our hot baths, so please plan on arriving 45 minutes to 60 minutes in advance for your body scrub appointment. Please provide at least 24-hour notice if you need to cancel or reschedule to avoid cancellation fees. Guests must be at least 18 years old to enter. A form of ID must be required to validate age. We will not be able to permit entry without sufficient ID. Dress code. Once in check-in, shoes of any kind are not allowed anywhere inside the facility. This is a barefoot facility, and personal socks may not be worn inside the facility. However, approved grip socks may be purchased at the spa and reused for following visits. Uniforms must be worn in common co-ed areas at all times. Outside or personal clothing of any kind may not be worn within any of the co-ed facilities or restaurant. Locker room and bathing policy. Flip-flops, sandals, and shoes of any kind are prohibited inside the locker rooms, wet areas, or all other areas of the spa. In the women's and men's shower and bath areas, guests must be completely nude. Bathing suits, towels, or any kind of clothing may not be worn or brought into any of the baths. All guests must shower and rinse before and in between using the hot or cold baths. Longer hair must be tied up before entering the baths. Guests should not fully submerge themselves in any of the baths. Phones may not be used or brought into the shower bath area. That's generally it. Everything else is like phone and stuff nonsense. Alcohol, smoking, other outside food, blah, blah, blah. Possession of weapons strictly prohibited. Wristbands for check-in. Yeah. All right, chat. Take your pants off. We're going to a spa. All right. What is it, Stevie? Wait, did that work? Did the eyes work? Howdy? Were the eyes already on? Did you take them away? Because now I'm concerned if it's connected to Twitch properly and stuff. Okay, it is. It says it's connected to Twitch. Okay, let me see if I can find something else for us to fawn over. I don't think we want to watch a full wildlife documentary on the current Monster Hunter Wilds beta creatures. Do they have forearm massages? I'm in need of one. I don't think anybody, what's the word? Anybody does solely forearm massages. You'd probably have to get like a full body massage of some kind. Going to the spa. Oh, ad break. Perfect timing, actually. All right, guys, I'm gonna take a brief break. I will give y'all the iPad and I will figure out what we're gonna do in just a little bit. But don't burn anything down. Ordain, behave yourself, and I will be back in a couple minutes. Game over. What did y'all do? How could you? How could Fuhrer? Jesus, Jara. See that before my joke wasn't you son of a Rin, I'm in? Oh my god. Oh my god. How could you? How could you? All right. I still have not figured out what we're going to do. Would y'all like to do another round of words on stream? I still have not found another video. I just noticed Sai's fucking title was Why Cave Exploring is Dumb. Chat, do we want to watch cave exploring? Do we want to make a counter stream to Sai's stream for shits and giggles? Because I think it would be funny. Do I need to find some like cave exploring shit? Oh no, that feels more like a Thursday thing. That feels very much like a Thursday thing. Where's Faye? Because I think it'd be funny as shit if I had Faye in on it. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? Who knows? Who knows? Was modern architecture a mistake? Yes. Next question. Nutty Putty Cave? We're not going in Nutty Putty Cave. That's a tomb. Literally. It's literally a tomb. There's a dead body in there. Because they still haven't gotten it out. Ta-da. It would be funny, but Me and Sai probably aren't going to go. I don't know. I think Sai started before me. I don't know how much longer Sai is going to be going. You ping again with why cave exploring is fun. That'd be hilarious. Bucky, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. What are you the mascot of? And what is your mascot costume? What is your... Here, let me give y'all... I'm going to give y'all words on stream one more round. At least, well, I try to find something. Nothing's really jumping out at me unless we want to watch, like, food recipes. Is it time to bring back the grand old men with the pots? Left eye going crazy? Anyway. Nah. Lear, liar. Oh, got one. No. Cycler may work. See you. Oh no, there's only one C. Lyric? No. Lyric, but it's spelled differently? I'm not entirely sure. But... Chimkin Sandwich. Oh boy. Oh, there you go. Y'all beat it. We're looking to watch fair. I'm not entirely sure. Probably more food stuff typically is what we do on Tuesday. We could do a Max Miller. Honestly, I tried to see if Max Miller had a like Po' Boy episode, because in Discord we were talking about Po' Boys the other day, a couple days ago, and like Rin and a few other people were talking about it, but he does not have a Po' Boy video, because I wanted to teach all the origins of the Po' Boy, even though I like generally know them. But I would have liked to see his election cake. Interesting. No, we need something on theme. Okay, we're gonna do something moderately depressing and politically, totally not politically charged. Totally not politically charged. All right, chat. You want to learn about the food that they served in the Japanese American internment camps? I'm sure he didn't make this with any kind of like undertone or implications or anything, you know. Right? We're just here to learn, chat. It'll be dandy. It'll be dandy. It'll be a great time.
Of 1942, President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066, which led to the forcible removal of all persons of Japanese American ancestry living on the West Coast and sent them to camps scattered across the country. And today we'll learn about those camps, especially what the people ate when they were there, as I make this recipe from one of the...
Also, fun fact, chat. Alaska, the like natives of Alaska and many people that lived in Alaska already had a positive relationship with Japan in the very early years. So Alaska technically already had a decent sized population of Japanese descendant people. Yeah. Is that why AK is the beginning of your name? Is it Alaska Monkey? That's funny. That's funny. I like that.
Camps for lunch and tuna with a dessert of...
I didn't learn that until recently, mainly because I'm from Texas, and they wouldn't have taught me anything about Alaska in Texas.
World War II. This time
same thing with Hawaii.
History.
I know the things about Hawaii that I know on my own. Thanks, school, for nothing.
Before we start, I wanted to give a huge thank you to George Takei of Star Trek fame for letting me interview him to better inform this video.
I was gonna say, if I remember correctly, he was a kid in the internment camps.
Incarceration camps. And since he was a child in the camp, he thought it only fitting to write a children's book about his experience called My Lost Freedom. So I'll put a link to that in the description. Now, while both
I didn't know he made a
George
book on it. Well, a children's book. I didn't know he made a children's book on it. I wouldn't have doubted he made a book about his experience, but I remember him being a kid.
Recipes from the camps.
I think he was
Until I
like
found a newspaper called the Topaz
4 or 6 or
Times.
something.
It was
I
put
remember
out
him
by
talking
those
about
who were
it.
incarcerated at the Topaz Relocation Center in Utah. And in 1943, there was a woman named Evelyn Kimura who wrote a column called Food Fancies, which among other things included recipes that people could, if they had access to the ingredients, make on their pot-bellied stoves, which were in the cabins at the camp. One of the recipes from March 20th, 1943
I always,
is for a
hold
sort
on,
of
real
tuna
quick.
noodle
I always think it's funny, both like between news articles and like older cookbooks, how, what's the word? Whimsical? I think, yeah, whimsical, like some of these things are. And I know he's about to talk about tuna noodle casserole. And frankly, I think that's something that should have burned with history. Luncheon tuna for 8, 2 cups of cooked celery in small pieces, 2 cups of tuna, 1 package of spaghetti, 2 cups of milk, 2 tablespoons of flour, 2 tablespoons of butter, salt, paprika, buttered crumbs. Awful. Everything about that is awful. What is it, Ember?
casserole, and she calls it luncheon tuna for 8. Make cream sauce of milk, flour, butter, salt, and
Pufferfish
paprika.
noises.
Cook spaghetti, add to
What do you mean
sauce.
pufferfish
Add celery,
noises?
mix with tuna, serve with grated cheese on top. If possible, bake half hour. And she says if possible, because most people, while they may have had a stove, didn't have an oven. So you would have had to have had access to the ovens that were in the mess halls. She also says that a lot of times the stoves were broken, or people didn't have access to pots and pans, or of course the ingredients. Even with this tuna dish, she warns that canned tuna is precious, but for the special occasion when it is deemed appropriate to celebrate. So for this
canned tuna
recipe,
being
what
used
you'll
for
need is 2
celebrations.
cups or
Oh my God.
475 milliliters of milk, 2 tablespoons of flour, 2 tablespoons of butter, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, a half teaspoon of paprika, 1 pound or 450
That's a good amount of
grams
paprika.
spaghetti, 2 cups or 200 grams of chopped celery. And she says that the celery needs to be cooked, so I went ahead and boiled it for about 5 minutes. Then 2 cups or 450 grams of canned tuna, a half cup or 60 grams
how are
of
you
dried
doing,
breadcrumbs,
Grandma?
and another tablespoon of butter, and about a half cup of grated cheddar
What are you
cheese.
up to?
And to be more authentic, you shouldn't get real cheddar
Hold on.
cheese. You
You've
should
also,
get
I'm,
imitation
yeah,
cheddar
welcome
cheese,
in.
which
I'm
is
still getting
made
over
with
being
some sort
sick
of
too.
oil, and it
Are you
doesn't
okay?
really melt as well, and it definitely doesn't.
Hold on. Are you also, look at the Pikachu with the kimono in the back? That's so fucking cute. Anyway, you've also exposed yourself. Therefore, y'all should all go follow Salty Jub, especially if you like cool, sexy, big women, robots, or just anything downright spooky and or hilarious. You should go check out Salty Jub. She's amazing. And a goddamn delight. Listen, I pulled a Fairbanks, okay? I pulled the Fairbanks of you've exposed yourself. Anyway.
Doesn't taste as good. But that's
how
what
are
they
you
would have
doing,
actually
Salty?
probably
Aside
had
from being
access
sick,
to
are
most
you
of the time.
resting? Are
So
you
that's
wrapped
what
up
I'm
in a
going to be
blanket?
using. So we're actually
Are
going
you
to start at
drinking
the
something
end of the
warm?
recipe by making the breadcrumbs. So just melt a tablespoon of butter in a pan over medium heat.
This is what they meant by buttered breadcrumbs. Okay.
Then leave them over the heat for 5 to 7 minutes, moving them around every so often until they have turned a golden brown. Then set them aside while you make your sauce. And to make the sauce,
Ship stew
Sheila
boxes?
says to
Stew boxes?
put all the ingredients together, but that will not actually make a sauce.
Stew boxes?
So
Do you mean like the
I think
the
that
like
she
golden
assumed
curry?
People already knew how to make this sauce by melting 2 tablespoons of butter in a saucepan over medium heat, and then adding in the flour and whisking until it's
a
nice
roux.
and smooth to create a roux.
Yeah.
Continue to whisk as it darkens up for about 4 or 5 minutes. Then slowly pour in
Hold
the
on a
milk,
quick
but
second.
quickly
The roux thing reminded me. It's not hard to make a roux, chat. And if you buy packaged roux, I'm gonna be in your pantry ready to beat you with a steel bat. But that's besides the point. I found out recently, I believe it was Alton Brown, who has like a recipe on YouTube for making, I think it's etouffee, shrimp etouffee, not crawfish etouffee. And the way he makes a roux for this etouffee is by like mixing the butter and the flour and then putting the pan in the oven for 2 hours. And that shit is stupid as hell because it takes 10 minutes to make a roux on a stovetop. Marin in my home for so cheap. Hi Gaia, how are you doing? I hope you get better soon, Salty.
whisking it as you do. Once
I
all the
hope you
milk
get
is
better soon,
incorporated,
'cause
then
I
add
wanna
the
see
salt
more
and
mech
paprika
streams.
And continue to stir as it thickens. Should take about 5
Ow,
minutes.
Queens.
Once it's thickened, set
What'd
it
I
on the very
do?
lowest heat that you can just to keep it warm while you bring
If
a
you do
pot
the
of
oven,
salted
it gets
water to a
toasty and
boil.
nutty. If you do the
Once
oven
boiling,
tech, you
add
can
the
get the
pasta
same
to
thing
cook
with
for
the
about
fucking...
10 minutes or until it's to the doneness.
So,
that you
hold on.
like. Then
Part of making an etouffee is also letting it simmer for like 45 minutes to an hour. So you are turning what is a 1 hour operation, or potentially like hour and a half, into 3.5 to 4 hours. Y'all are nuts. Well, you know what? I can actually see that being a historical reason to make a roux at some point, in case like it was one of those situations where it's easier to just like mix that together, slam it in the oven, go work for like 2 hours, and then come back. No, not a blonde roux. Because you're making etouffee, you want a darker
drain
roux.
the pasta and put it back in the pot and pour the white sauce over it, tossing it all so it's well coated.
I was gonna say this whole thing reminds me very much of like chicken spaghetti.
Then you can either put the breadcrumbs on now and have it as is, or she says that if you have access to an oven, which I do, then you should bake it. So
Of course you have
transfer the
access to an
whole
oven.
thing
I
to a
see.
casserole
Ooh,
dish, scatter
that's
the
a cool
breadcrumbs on
casserole
top,
dish. I
and
like that deep
finally
green.
Put a bit of that government cheese on there.
Government
and then pop it in the
cheese!
oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit.
Chat, do you have your government cheese?
For 10 minutes. Now, as I mentioned, this dish would have been for a special occasion.
No, it's also...
A lot of the ingredients involved are not things that you would have access to every single day. So it would be for something like a birthday, or maybe if you had a gentleman caller coming over. And Miss
Government
Gura
cheese,
actually
spaghetti for a
includes
casserole, gags and
instructions in
Italian.
some of her columns
Listen. One of the best like pasta dishes I've ever had was a baked spaghetti, which is pretty simple. It's like regular spaghetti, usually like mixed up and stuff. However, you take the regular spaghetti with like the meat sauce and everything. Once that's mixed up, you put it into essentially a like oven safe bowl. And then you put so much cheese on top of it that it's basically flush with the top of the bowl. And then you bake that bitch. You bake that bitch until the cheese is like bubbly and darkened. And then you pull that shit out and you eat it no matter how bad it hurts your mouth. Bake ziti slaps, the Greeks knew for fucking sure. For fucking sure.
So she says, to the above recipes, you might add radio music, turned low, a snowy tablecloth, a soft light. Then you might easily imagine yourself back in, say, San Francisco at one of the larger restaurants, subject, of course, to local interruptions. And it may not seem like much to us, but adding these little effects to a meal would provide a sort of escapism.
Yeah, I was about to say it's so very distraction.
The reality of their situation.
The government's cheese mouth? No, the government doesn't give you mozzarella cheese.
West coast of the United States, in early 1942, Franklin D. Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066. And this...
Chad, I have a question. Do you think they numbered Order 66 in Star Wars out of 9066? I can see it.
Authorized the
I can see it. Somebody go ask George Lucas.
All persons deemed a threat to national security from what was known as the exclusion zone, covering much of Washington, Oregon, California, and Arizona.
It also covered Italians and Germans.
Program, U.S. Army Lieutenant General
at one point. It's not the same order, a different order,
not to just
but
those people who were suspected
they were also
of
included.
wrongdoing, but to absolutely anyone of Japanese ancestry. These could be those who had immigrated to the U.S. from Japan, or actual U.S. citizens who were born here. So with a couple bags filled with their clothes and bedding,
but it was because it was the Japanese order first.
People were taken from their homes, put onto buses and trains, and sent to incarceration camps.
Jesus.
Now, often they were, and still are today, called internment camps. But internment implies guilt. Enemies of the state were interned at different camps. But these were not guilty people. They had never been given any kind of due process. They were only guilty
just remember, Chad, the government wouldn't do that.
The government and newspapers also used different euphemisms.
I hate to tell you.
Camps to
I hate to tell you, they did. They have, and they probably will again.
Like detention centers, relocation centers, or one of the softest euphemisms,
Fort Miners album,
which sounds so welcoming. And the people in these camps were often called evacuees, which today
surely the United States history class they taught me at school wasn't like hiding any misgivings that like we as Americans should be deeply ashamed and work to avoid in the future. Hi, Osaluna, how are you doing? Oh yeah, Oh, for sure. On a much larger scale. I'd love when the authorities lie with language or just, lie by omission. And without the parents, correct, for back in 2020, prior to 2020 and 2021. And not even including the absolutely obscene numbers expected for, quote, mass deportations of 23 million people. No, 25 million, I believe, is the number that Trump says, even though the actual number in the US is only like 13.3 million at the highest. But even then, the US can't do that in the case of like it being feasible, ethically feasible, functionally feasible, feasible in every degree of the word. Incredibly evil and vile people, correct. Double correct, oh so. Anyway.
Like saving people from natural disasters. That is not what this was.
He released this back, like, I think just, let me see, 2 months ago. So that was, it was just a bit after the election results were like finalized and stuff. It was the following month. And I remember him releasing this and seeing it and being like, I see what you're doing, Max Miller. I see what this is. You picked a right fucking time to do a video on the internment camps following the election results. I love this. And I don't know if he's going to say anything snappy at the end or in the middle here, but
to one of 10 camps, most of which were in the western part of the country.
It was. I think it's clever.
Areas, though 2 were actually
it's not
built
sneaky
in
if you know what's going on, but I think it's
swampland.
funny as fuck.
And the reason that these camps were often built in the swamps or in deserts or on prairies was that, in addition to the fact that they were away from towns yet still on rail lines, was that the land
Madagascar plan, and that just makes it Madagascar plan.
Thought that the people being sent there would be able to cultivate.
Who needs a functional country when there's money to make?
See, many of the Japanese Americans on the West Coast were farmers, and they were some of the most successful farmers in the country. So if anyone could grow crops on what otherwise was unusable land, it was the
farmers,
Japanese
you say?
American farmers. Or at least
farmers losing out on cracking down on any sort of American citizens or potentially illegal immigrants.
There was nothing to farm. There often weren't even full buildings.
Probably ain't Chewsday. If you don't know, it's probably ain't Chewsday.
In the deserts of California, when the first 84 people arrived for dinner
America needs a Bastille Day.
On March 21st, 1942,
we need that, and we need Canada to burn the White House down again.
There was no roof, and it had only one operating stove.
No roof.
And there was no place for the cooks to sleep.
It has rafters, but no roof.
And the meal itself was comprised of nothing but canned army rations.
Having a guillotine in your backyard? That's true.
Really for the
That's true. What was the thing that I didn't know? I'm trying to remember already. I already missed the word.
Of those first 84 people, there were 7,000 people
Madagascar plan.
being served 3 meals a day at 10 different mess halls. Now, in those first few months at the camps, mealtime was kind of a confused period because they didn't have designated cooks, at least at first. Basically, people would get there and they'd be like, does anyone know how to cook? And somebody would be like, sure, I'll be the cook. And then they would cook. But this obviously led to some really good cooks and some really bad cooks.
Squints at the current government's plan for Gaza.
This out. And so there would be really, really long
and
lines
Palestinians
at the mess hall with the good cooks.
Would the Palestinians that want to stay be allowed to stay? And then the fucking
regardless of the quality
media
of the
bitch is
or
always
food,
like,
there was always a line.
We'll help them move. That's not answering the question. We'll help them move. It'll be okay.
People would line up sometimes for an hour or more to get food. The line at the Good Cooks Hall was obviously much longer, and at Manzanar, it became such a problem that they had to issue everyone mess cards that would match people up with their block's mess hall. So if you got one of the bad cooks, you were just out of luck. But to be fair to the cooks, they were all having to cook with really poor quality ingredients very often.
We shouldn't rely on another country. Do it yourselves.
Leftover rations from the military.
But yeah, everybody should build a guillotine in the backyard. It's really a wonderful statement piece.
One woman who was in
it's an amazing statement piece.
Remembered the beef tongue, saying you have to simmer or boil it, and you take off the outer skin with the little taste buds.
Correct.
The cooks didn't do that. They cooked the whole tongue and sliced it. So there was all this skin on the tongue that we ate. There were also lots of ingredients that, while they were popular in American cuisine at the time, were not so popular in Japanese American cuisine at the time.
I always think it's funny too. I don't know why they people didn't teach each other.
In the US found things like potatoes and
statement piece. You say, yeah.
But the
Having a
older
guillotine in the front
generation,
yard is very much like one of those
often
big
found these
statement
foods
pieces,
rather
you know?
weird.
It really
They did
tells
not
the
cook these
neighborhood
things
what
at
you're
home.
about.
Some of the
It
most
really
common
tells
of
them
these
your
foods were things
values.
like apple butter, canned sauerkraut, meatloaf, cold
Just like
canned
one of those
beets with
political signs
onions,
in the yard,
and
but
a
it just
lot
says,
of
"Eat the
spaghetti
rich."
and potatoes. Eventually, many of the potatoes
It can
were
cause
swapped
harm
for
in the backyard.
rice,
Listen,
which
listen. That's,
people
the
were
the
used to,
blade is
but it was
the
often
blade is
prepared in
rubber
unfamiliar
for
ways.
now.
Rice with jello,
For now,
rice
you
with
keep the
ketchup,
real
or
one in
rice
the
with hidden
garage.
fruit like the apricots that I'm actually going to try out today as a dessert.
Instead
There was
of, like,
also a
mango
lot of
sticky
lamb
rice?
and mutton, which was particularly despised in the camps. One cook
Oh.
recalled, "No one could stand the unmistakable aroma of lamb. I learned to disguise it by deep frying lamb to erase the aroma and presenting it as sweet and sour pork." But they made do
That's a
with
pretty
what
good
they
method.
had. And
Yeah,
this
if you have
actually led to the
a
creation of
particularly
several
smelly
dishes
meat
that
like bear
remained
or
part
something,
of
frying it is
Japanese
usually a good way to get rid of like the
cuisine, at least in
gaminess
part,
and the smell.
After the war, probably most famous.
How bad was the
something called
lamb if it
weenie
was-
royale, which was either hot dogs or Vienna sausages in a
Weenie
dish of
royale.
eggs and onions and usually soy sauce if they had it. I'm not sure why this stayed part of the cuisine even after the war. Doesn't sound particularly delicious to me, but it did.
Listen, Vienna
Especially
sausages
odd
as a
because
kid were like the
they
shit, and now I
seemed to
can't even.
not
I've heard of.
like
I know
hot
B. Dylan
dogs
Hollis,
in the
yeah.
camps. It wasn't that they didn't like
The
hot
gay
dogs
dude that
at
likes
all,
vintage
but it was a hot
everything.
dog. But it was
I
the
love
fact
B.
that
I
they
love
were
Dylan Hollis.
always present at the different meals. That and Spam
Bear sausage at a Russian
were
party, I
just
hated it.
Always on the menu.
Yeah,
In
it's-
1942, in the lead up to a 4th of July
Spam,
celebration,
canned meat,
the
your
Manzanar
government
Free
meat.
Press, the camp's newspaper, warned that come next week, we doubt whether there will be an able-bodied man left in Manzanar who
What?
can look at a hot dog in the eye without flinching. While all these mostly dried, canned, and processed ingredients never left the diet at the camps, as soon as they got their gardens, or in many cases full farms, up and running, the diet became less monotonous. See,
Okay.
During the war, everyone in America was encouraged to plant
Y'all's
a
hot dogs
victory
have
garden
eyes?
to help
No.
relieve some of the burden
It's
on the
just a
food
joke.
supply. Most people had these gardens at their homes.
Corned
or
beef
in
is
their
pretty good, but
neighborhoods,
corned beef
and
probably is
grew
not
enough
very good when you
vegetables
have
and
it
fruits
a
to
lot.
supplement their own diet. And it was no different at the incarceration camps, except that at some, like Hart Mountain, in
Especially if you're having,
Wyoming
like,
and Manzanar
creamed
in
beef.
California,
Creamed beef is
they
not
had
good.
the ability to start entire farms, which grew far more than was required to feed the population of the camp. For
That's
instance,
cool.
Manzanar had 440 acres of cultivated fields, plus orchards.
I'm
with
still not used to that
400
alert
pear
coming
and
up. It
600
scares me
apple
every time. Like,
trees.
what is that?
Some vegetables and fruits, namely watermelon, cabbage, and turnips, they had in such surplus that they were able to actually send them to other camps. And they had so many carrots and chili peppers that they were able to sell them on the open market to the public. In addition to the fields and orchards, they had beehives, which produced honey, a chicken ranch, root cellars, and a hog farm. Each morning, food would arrive at the different mess halls. It would be prepared, and then twice a day, the garbage.
I'm very curious
of
on what the
food would be
limitations
taken
of these
back to
camps
the
were.
hog farm,
If
where
they
the
were just
foreman
like,
said,
all right,
"This
y'all have to
garbage
live
is
here
found
now.
to be
And anyway, like,
excellent
all of
pig
this
food,
land is y'all's
much better
to do
than that found
whatever."
in the city garbage. And on the farms, they employed different animals, like to keep the rabbit population down, they had huskies and greyhounds, and they also had mules to do some of the
What were the
harder labor.
limitations? Was
And
it
the
just like,
Manzanar
y'all
Free
are here,
Press
y'all can't
talks
leave?
Rather cheekily
Is that
about,
it?
The
Was that the only limitation?
introduction
Was
of
that the
some
one
of these
rule? That
mules
was
at
what was
one
on
of
the
farms.
sign?
New
You're here forever?
evacuees from Los Angeles County arrived in Manzanar Wednesday. 12
Evacuees.
Japanese mules, including Jiro, Saburo, and others who answer only to orders in
Those are
Japanese, were
big
brought for
mules.
use on the local farm. Eventually, at a few of the camps, some of the more creative
Tofu.
people found ways to produce actual Japanese ingredients, things like miso, tofu, soy sauce, and different pickled vegetables. The
Hell
one
yeah.
Japanese ingredient they did not have was sake. At least
As in my guess, very much depended on who ran those camps. That's the thing is, he hasn't mentioned anything about who was
One
like,
thing I have learned after studying food history,
I don't know,
is
like, was it garden?
where there are humans, there be
This is
alcohol.
something that I want to
There's a
know more
diary
about.
entry from a teenager at Hart Mountain where he talks about how he should have been asleep, but he stayed up because Pa and Ma and Frank are talking about our next door neighbor who got thrown into jail tonight.
Okay,
He was
but why?
caught making sake in the mess hall. But unless you were making it
Oh.
yourself, no alcohol. And one of the reasons was to keep people orderly, but another reason was because of cost.
He was making
The
sake in
ideal
the
amount
mess hall?
of
That's
money
amazing.
that was spent was 45
Wait.
cents per day per person. That's like $7 per day per person. To
Okay,
go
I don't remember off the
on
bat. I was
food.
thinking of self-care,
so
Jack.
The camps really had to kind of become at least partly self-sufficient.
Hold on. When was what is it? Prohibition? Yeah, when was Prohibition? When was alcohol banned until when? I forget. Was it the 30s? I think it was the 30s. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Never mind
But
then.
even with the growing,
I was gonna say because it didn't last very long. It was I think the 30s, basically just after this roaring 20s.
Temporary milk shortage. All old milk permits have been canceled. Milk will be available to babies and only those who receive approval from the doctors or head dietitian, Mrs. Williams. One of the most disruptive shortages at Manzanar took place in 1944 when there was a rice shortage.
Oh, riots.
And it wasn't because that they didn't have enough rice. It was because they were just using more of it than usual. The population had actually gone down by 20%, and yet their rice consumption had gone up by 20%. And
people were eating more.
One possibility of why this might be was mochi.
Let's go! We're making mochi.
In January of 1944.
That's hilarious.
Only a few weeks
Guys, we can make
after
desserts.
Mochi Pizza. This is a time of making mochi in the days leading up to the Japanese New Year.
Guys, there's less people.
Mochi is, of
Guys,
course,
we have so much
made
extra rice.
by pounding
Can make
steamed
desserts.
rice until it becomes kind of gelatinous, and you can kind of make these mochi balls out of it. And George Takei actually told me
Glutinous
one
rice.
of the stories that he really remembered very well that had to do with food was he remembered a tree stump being hollowed out so
That
there
it
was
looked
sort of a
near
bowl
identical?
on the top, and they put steamed rice in it. And
I think I
then
know the one
two
you're
men
talking about.
created huge mallets.
Hold on. Is it it's the punk girl, right? I'm not gonna pull her up, but really quick, there's a meme that like Tommy made. Because apparently there's a new character. And where is it? That's Carrie's post. Here, this meme. Yeah, it's this meme. There's I think she's the like guild master in some new like isekai. But this is the one that people are currently comparing me to. I can see the similarities. Yeah. This is a bad picture because she technically has like, let me find Carrie's picture. Like she has the red highlights. It's just for some reason in this one particular picture, whoever was like animating the scene forgot the red highlights. But like in the rest of the scene, she has red highlights. Why are there two pictures of Mary in there? I'm sorry. Okay. It's fine. Sorry, Haru. No, we're doing Max Miller right now.
Alternately, the rice to make mochi.
You saw this thump, thump, thump,
Thump, thump, thump.
and the
Yeah.
in between the thumps, these delicate women's hand would come
The fucking
and
side
just,
where you're like
you know,
flipping it
toss it,
between each
flop around.
fun. Hi, not so. How
It
are you
was
doing?
Such a thrilling experience.
Marinated Bacon and Anime and didn't tell us. Listen, if they don't have a dove actor yet, I volunteer. I will do it for free. Only thing is, I am willing to drive multiple hours to go to like a professional studio, and I will record. I will sit there and record and take as much beating as necessary to get a recording that they are happy with.
Really a once a year kind of treat. So if you wanted something sweet,
Yes, it is George
in
Takei.
the other 364 days of the year.
Because
then
George
you
Takei was
might
a
be
child at the
fortunate
internment
enough to
camps.
get some
So
sort
Max
of
had a
rice
call
pudding
with
or
him
even
where he
porridge
used him
at
as a
the,
source for this video.
At the mess hall. But typically, if you wanted something sweet, you had to go to the canteen.
He essentially
camp
grew up in the
was
internment
outfitted
camps.
with a canteen that sold food and other sundries to kind of supplement your
Always reminds me of
usual
blacksmithing.
ration.
I can see
One
that.
common item was Cracker Jacks.
Rice
but they
treat
also
folded
had
over
syrup for
1,000
making soft
times.
drinks, Bisquick, tamales,
Like it's
wax
neat- like it's
paper,
one of those
bottled
Nippon
cherry,
Steel
bottled
nerds.
Chicken, olives, Ovaltine, sandwich
Tamale.
spread, asparagus, canned tuna, apple juice, Kool-Aid, canned sardines, shortening,
Crisco.
Crisco, veal loaf, Vienna sausage, deviled ham and meat, and pig's feet. And those items in the canteen
I
were
bet they made
definitely
really good
luxury
pig's
items
feet.
because you had to
You
pay
could
for
braise
them.
pig's feet, and that shit will be
people didn't have
magical.
a lot of money because the jobs that they did have did not pay that well. There were jobs of all sorts in the camps, everything from teachers to doctors, cooks, builders,
Yeah,
all
hog
sorts of things,
stompers.
people cleaning, but they typically paid like $14 to
Jesus.
$18 a month, which was about a fifth of the average salary in the U.S. at the time. So if you wanted Cracker Jacks or
Wait, a
pig's
fifth?
feet, You really had to pony up because those were not going to be part of your daily ration.
And
they did have to follow the rationing that everyone else in the country
yes,
was
the classic
following at the
ration
time.
book
But
art.
there were rumors flying around that this was not the case. In 1942, rumors started to spread, not just amongst the public, but even amongst Congress itself, that those Japanese Americans in the camps
What a
were living
bunch of
high on the hog,
assholes.
that the government was providing them with all of this food, extra sugar and extra beef and whatnot.
Completely
And it's
skipping
true
the fact that they were
government
raising
was
it themselves.
providing most of their food
To Kai?
because they had been sent to the camps.
Takai.
But people just, it
Or
didn't
decay.
stop people from
Decay.
thinking that they were somehow getting away with
The,
something.
the extra
So in
Y's does
April
not help.
1943, Eleanor Roosevelt, who believed that the camps were unjust, went to visit
Good.
the Gila River camp in Arizona, not far from where I grew up.
Look at that man's
And
mustache
afterwards,
in the
she wrote an
background.
article
Look at that
refuting
little
the
spindly
idea that
thing.
those residents of the camp were being coddled.
This guy has started
When
to
I
appear on my
read the
YouTube shorts?
accusations
Good.
against the authority for acquiring quantities of canned goods, I realized there was a lack of understanding of one basic fact. Namely, that government authorities such as this have to live up to the law. And if it is the law of the land that we are rationed everywhere. Even the War Relocation Authority cannot buy more than is allowed for the number of people they have to feed.
Yes.
One line that was cut from an earlier draft of the article is so poignant that even though it wasn't published at the time,
Everybody
I'm
is
glad
being
that it's
rationed.
still with us
Eat
today.
shit,
She
Congress.
wrote, to undo a mistake is always harder than not to create one originally, but we seldom have the foresight.
Ugh.
But this was a mistake that cannot be undone. It can never be made up to the
True.
people that it actually happened to.
Correct.
But with the help of people like George Takei, who has spent much of his life trying to educate people about this experience.
It's a
and
shame
about this
that it
period of our
completely
history,
failed
which
at the
we
governmental
don't really
level.
learn much about. Hopefully, it is something that we will never repeat. One more thing that I found really interesting about the food situation in these camps was
Hopefully
that
it's something we'll
obviously at the
never
beginning
repeat.
It was rough, but then they got their farms and stuff going, and it improved. But then near
It's
the end of the war,
fine.
it declined a lot. And
Oh, wait, what did
actually
Cyber
got
say?
Almost as
Back from
bad,
riding
if
more
not
horses?
worse than
Ooh.
at the beginning. And that's because in 1943, partly to the urging, or from the urging
Again, guys, I don't. There's still time here. He may say something but in my brain, he released this just after Trump was confirmed the winner of the election, like about a month. He released this in December, and when he released it, I was like, on the nose, Max. That's really on the nose. You can do stuff like this. And this is probably the best way for him to have some sort of like slight political activism in his videos is by doing these particular like historical topics at the right time.
of Eleanor Roosevelt,
Food?
people
What kind of
started
food?
To be released from the camps on work
Pre-records them.
permits.
I don't think
to
he does
get
it like
this,
months or weeks in
had to
advance.
be a U.S. citizen, so it was pretty much all of the younger people, and you had to have a job lined up, so it was all the people who were doing most of the work. And so this
I mean, I wouldn't
left
doubt
the
if he like,
camps with
well, you
a
technically
much
pre-record
older
everything,
and sicker
but there's not
population who couldn't
too
keep
much
the
stuff that
farms
goes into his
going.
videos.
And so really for the last year and a half or so that people were there was a lot less food available. And
Yeah,
that's
much of
perhaps
his
why
stuff
by
is
1944, the article Food Fancies with
like a
all
few
of its
pictures
recipes
here and there.
all but disappeared from the Topaz.
I don't think he usually has
Times.
videos
So
of any
let us think
kind
like it's
interminted, aside from like
1943,
this,
as
where
long
he's
as you
just
could
talking
get
straight to the
access the
camera.
ingredients, you could dine on a dish like this tuna luncheon. So once the cheese is melted, you can serve it up alongside the dessert.
It
There's
reminds
really
me
not
very
to
much
the
of,
dessert
like,
rice and apricots.
chicken
It's
spaghetti.
Just a scoop of white rice with the apricots and some syrup on top. And here we are, a tuna luncheon from the Japanese incarceration camp
Okay.
in Topaz, Utah. So really, this
You
is
can
tuna
see the
noodle
government
casserole,
cheese like
which
melted on top,
I
or it
think
just kind of looks
I
plasticky.
like.
Are pre-recorded.
It's been a long time since I've had it. But we'll just try
Y'all are
to
supposed to know about that.
grab everything here. I do have to say, spaghetti is probably not the ideal pasta for a dish like this. Just makes it a little harder to eat.
I mean, it's probably what they just gave them. I doubt they're giving them like lasagna sheets. Marion streams after the stream. Yeah, I every time after a stream ends, I go and pre-record the next one.
I mean, is there anything
I'm just really
like,
good at predicting your
outstanding about
questions.
it? No, but it's not bad.
Some little sausages. Ooh,
I would add more of the paprika. I think for the amount of other ingredients,
that makes sense.
you need more paprika if you want to have any flavor of that at all. Could
But
use some more of that.
again,
Maybe
amounts.
just some more spices in general, but it's not bad. I do think that the crunchy texture of the breadcrumbs is a nice touch, as well as
Breadcrumbs
the
are
slightly
always
crunchy
a nice
texture
touch.
of the celery. Don't boil it too long until it becomes mush.
Of course I predicted it, Ren. You're an
because
extremely predictable
then
person.
There's no texture. Let me just try a little bit of
Like
this
how you didn't butter your
apricot and
brother's
rice.
toast. Like I told you should when
Kind
you
of
made
an
those
odd
po' boys.
combination.
Predict this pants grab. That's the most predictable thing.
Definitely
And
an
what
odd
kind of spell I
combination.
cast? Or dang,
like
you
rice.
cast almost
I like
identical spells
apricots.
every stream.
They don't really need to go
I don't
together.
care. Your
Overall,
brother's a
though,
wiener.
Not a bad meal, but as I said, this is kind of the best possible scenario.
Your
when it
brother's
comes to
a
food,
coward.
So take that for what you will.
I'm
I
glad
also
you've
want to
taken
thank
to
the
including
staff
your
at the
daily
Manzanar
bullying. I
National
mean, I get
Historical
bullied
Site,
every stream, so
and
that's not
Bernard
new.
and James Murphy, the authors of Heart Mountain Chronicles, all of whom were
Ooh.
invaluable in helping me research this video. And finally, a huge thank you again to George Takei for telling me his story and letting me
You
use
can't
that
cast
to
that.
inform
Time
this
magic doesn't
episode.
work here anymore.
There's so much more to his story that just didn't really have
Yep,
to do with food,
that's
so it
me.
didn't fit into
You're
this
probably
episode,
wondering how I ended up in this
but It is
situation.
fascinating, and so I'm going to let you hear it in his
Fuck.
own words. I'll put up the full interview later this week via the Tasting History
My world screen
newsletter,
shall be
which you
bullied.
can sign up for at tastinghistory.com.
Clip it, shitheads. Jeez.
Also, I'm going to have
Oh,
a
goodness.
Japanese version of the Tasting History cookbook coming out
Ooh.
very, very soon. So keep an eye out for that, and I will.
Wait, that's cool. Okay, I didn't know he was releasing his thing in multiple languages. That's actually really neat. Okay, hold on real quick. Let's see if there's one more video of his that because there's a bunch I haven't seen. Beef stroganoff. I always think stroganoff is such a funny word. Dutch hunger winter, tulip bulbs. Interesting. Gout, the disease of kings, the history of gout. Oh no. Have you watched the eggnog vid? No, because I'm not usually one for eggnog. Those are a bunch of his Christmas ones. That's the Roman cheesecake. I want to do a newer one. Hangover cure, anyone? Have you ever ridden? Yes, I have. When I was young, I had neighbors that had horses, and they would come over and they would teach me and my brother how to ride their horses. I've also been horseback riding through the Smokies. Hangover cure sounds fun. I kind of want to learn about a hangover cure.
For as long as people have been drinking, they have been drinking to excess. And that
Of
means that
course.
we've had thousands of years to come up with lots of cures for the hangover, like this 10th century recipe for kishkia from Baghdad.
Is it
This
pork?
time on Tasting History.
It looks like pork, but that doesn't make sense in Baghdad. Marigan knows how
If you've
to
ever
ride.
had a
I also know how to
hangover, you'll
spin
that
on it,
sucks. In
Hanedu.
that moment, you will grasp at
you
absolutely
doing?
anything to get rid of that feeling, whether it be a mimosa or Bloody Mary, a hair of the dog, if you will, or like I usually do,
How are you doing,
a lot
my
of
wife?
greasy food, a burger and fries. And the greasy food, well, that's not a new thing.
That's what
Back
I'm
in the
saying.
10th
I don't think it's
century, the Baghdadi
pork.
author Ibn Zayar al-Waraq wrote a cookbook, Kitab
Well, 10th
al-Tabik,
century-
or the Book of Dishes. And in it, along with a lot of recipes for how
10th
to make
century
different alcoholic
was-
drinks, he includes a recipe for a stew called
What year was
kishkia, named
Islam
after its
founded?
main ingredient, kishk.
I was thinking it
Kishk
could be
has balanced
lamb.
Properties.
Yeah, it could be lamb or
digests
goat. I think
fast and is good
it's
for
goat.
treating people with hangovers. Kishk, sometimes called kashk, is still a popular ingredient today in the Middle East.
7th century?
and it can
Okay,
vary
I was- for some
wildly
reason I
from
thought it was
place to
14th,
place,
but I was like, that's
in
way
this
too late.
cookbook, it talks about a type that is
Because
made
that's
of
the
fermented
Islamic
barley
golden
and
era was
whey,
happening, I
and
think,
then it's
during
left
the
to
10th. There's
dry
Spinda
and
in the back.
crumbled
Hi,
up into a
Spinda.
sort of powder. It does actually mention several types of kishk. to
Yeah,
be
yeah, yeah.
used in this
That's
recipe,
post-founding of Islam,
but
because
it's
the
not really
900s was
clear
the golden
what
age
those
of Islam
were,
through, I think, like, the
and I was only able to
1200s?
find one type, so that's what
Something
I'm
like that?
using. I'm using a cup of this powdered kashk, which I'm whisking into 2 cups of verjuice, which is the juice of unripe
Oh.
grapes and has sort of a sour and vinegary flavor. So between that and the kishk, I'm going to guess this dish is going to have a rather sour fermented flavor, which is probably
Ooh.
good for kicking a medieval hangover. Now, the recipe is rather long, so I'm not going to read the whole thing.
Read the whole thing!
The translation from Nawal Nasrallah's Annals of the Caliph's Kitchen is surprisingly
The Caliph's
specific
Kitchen.
in the quantities of most of the ingredients that are used.
16,
It
I was
starts
off by
off
12 years?
saying,
Okay,
wash
gotcha.
3 rattles of meat and put it in a pot.
No, verjuice,
Add a
well,
half rattle chopped
no, you can
onions,
drink.
a quarter rattle fresh herbs,
It's only-
a handful
it's-
of
okay.
chickpeas, 1 piece galangal.
Drinking in Islam, basically Islam being a dry religion, is fairly new, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure it's more part of the Islamic Revolution that happened in the 1900s in the Middle East. I think like a more conservative rising. Drinking, I'm pretty sure has been a part of damn near every culture.
And a
To
quarter
drive around the
rattle
dark carnival,
olive oil,
Frisians
or
to
water
help
submerge the
theme. Oh
ingredients
my
in the
God.
pot. Let the pot cook until meat is almost done. Add any of the seasonal green vegetables and a little shallot.
Basically
A
Islam
rattle at the
not
time
like
was roughly 1
basically
pound.
Muslims
So it's
not
just
drinking
cool to
is
cook from
a
recipe
new
that's
addition,
this
if I remember
old
correctly.
And yet have exact measurements to
Double
work
check.
with. So for this full recipe, what you'll need is 3 pounds of lamb or other meat with the bone, 1 medium onion sliced, a quarter cup of diced onion, a quarter pound of fresh herbs. It's not specific in what herbs to be used, so I'm using a mixture of coriander, thyme, parsley, basil, and oregano, all of which would have been available in the region. Also, a quarter pound of herbs is a
12th
lot of
century.
herbs. A half cup of chickpeas, a 2-inch long
It was the
piece of
12th century
galangal.
whenever
Galangal is in
the
same family as ginger, and it has a
Hanafi
similar
school
flavor,
of
though I find it to be
enlightenment
a little bit more earthy and citrusy.
began the
You can usually
prohibition of
find it
alcoholic
at an
beverages.
Asian grocery store. A half cup of olive oil, 1 head of green chard chopped fine, the same amount of another green vegetable like
Not
spinach,
the understanding
1 teaspoon
of Sharia
cumin,
laws
1.5
and
teaspoons
not
of
only
cassia or cinnamon,
not only
a half
permitted
teaspoon of
adherents
cloves,
to
and
indulge
1
in alcoholic
teaspoon of
beverage, but they
spikenard.
could do so
Spikenard
up
is
to a
an
near point of
aromatic that
total
for thousands of years has
annihilation.
been used in
However, from the 12th
perfumes
century
and
forward, the
balms,
Hanafi
but it
school
can
embraced
also
the
be used
general
culinarily.
prohibition.
You just can buy it
Okay,
dried
interesting.
online.
Very cool.
And now, even though I feel like
So
the
it's
main
basically-
flavor
that's
profile
basically-
of this dish is going to be kind of sour with
I think that was essentially the point, because that's basically when the golden age of Islam also ended. It's essentially the point of like increased conservatism in Islam, where it went from being a very like scholastic religion to being very what's the word? Theocratic? Topical?
dish
Maybe.
and the
Maybe.
And the bear juice. All of these different aromatics and the ton of herbs that are
Well, no,
in it,
apparently before the
I
12th
think it's gonna
century,
give
it
a
was
really
specifically
complex
permitted
flavor
up
profile.
until the point of, in quotations,
Now, I may not
annihilation.
be an Alice Waters or a Gordon Ramsay, but I do know enough about cooking to show you how to make this 10th century quiche.
Listen, Gordon Ramsay is
chop
not
the
that
meat
impressive.
Into large chunks and put them with the bone into a large pot.
That
along
man
with
makes
the fresh
British
herbs,
food.
The chickpeas,
He's
the
not-
galangal,
ooh.
and the olive oil. And mix this all together, and then add enough water to cover the ingredients.
Wait, I already missed
olive
it. What
oil.
did he say
Then
the meat
mix
was?
Pot along with the fresh herbs, the chickpeas, the galangal, and the olive oil.
Did he ever
And
say what
mix
the
this
meat
all
was?
together, and then add enough water to cover the ingredients. Oh, and also
Don't
add
tell the
sliced
Bosnians they're
onion.
not supposed
I
to
forgot
drink.
that,
It's
but
fine.
You can add it now. Don't add the diced onion though. Set this over medium heat and bring it to a simmer, and then cover the pot and let it
Ooh,
cook for
this is
about
gonna be
an
really
hour
kinda
or
like
until the
sour
meat
and
is
bitter.
nice and tender. Once the meat is ready, add in the chard and the spinach. And as I often do, I have overestimated the size of my pot or underestimated the size of the dish, and so I had to switch from the smaller pot to the larger pot, and one of these days I'll just learn to always start with the larger pot. With the greens in the pot,
One
though,
day.
you can let it stew for
One
another
day.
15 or 20
But no,
minutes.
that's part of
And this is
cooking
a
in
good
your own
time to
home. I do
whisk
the
your
same shit
quiche
all the
into
time.
The bear juice, because it does take 10 or 15 minutes to really kind of fully dissolve, and it thickens up, and then you can add that to the stew as well. Stir it in and let it cook for another 20 minutes, then add in the cumin and the cassia along with the diced onion. Give it another
Okay.
10 minutes and finally stir in the cloves and the spikenard. At this point, the recipe says to stop fueling the fire, let the pot simmer and rest on the remaining heat, then take it down, God willing. Of course, I'm not cooking this on a wood-fired stove.
It feels like
so
you're
there is no
praying
way
to be like,
stop
oh God, please
fueling
let this
the fire,
please
so
let
I'm
this
just
cook all the
turning
way
it
through.
on
Please
very
let this
low
cook all
and
the way
letting it
through.
simmer for about an hour. Now, in this cookbook, following the recipe, there is something
I don't know,
that
it seems
feel
more
most
soupy. I don't
cookbooks
think
today
the like
are sorely
verjuice
missing,
and
that is a poem about the dish itself. And it was written by a 9th century prince who was also a poet and a singer and a composer. And it is all about kishka, the nourishing dish to have when in the
Please
gripes
God, let me
of a
heal my hangover. Yes.
one craves some food. If sakbaja is missed, kishk may replace it when a sour dish he must have. made with shoulder cuts
Oh.
of lamb, and of tail fat an equal amount is put.
Okay, it is
Juice
lamb.
of sour grapes poured to cover will make it good and a dish to savor. Its pale hue shimmers like her contour flickering through her sheer gown.
Oh.
Having
Oh,
eaten
my.
it, intoxicated one will be all anew, and the hangover will itself renew. So yes, while there were
Aw.
times in history where drinking in the Islamic world was completely forbidden and they weren't doing it, the recipe and other recipes for alcohol in this book and this poem show that that was not always the case.
I wonder, is he gonna talk
depending
about
on
that,
whoever
or-
was in charge, how strict they were. Drinking and hangovers were a rather daily occurrence for most of history.
It's part
And
of
so along
humankind
with
at this point,
recipe for
okay?
Kishkia, the ancients have left us several other
Green lamb
remedies
ramen?
to save
Maybe.
your poor aching head.
Wait, we haven't been to history yet?
In the
Yes.
ancient Greek work De Hypnosophiste, the author Athenaeus quotes the even more ancient poet Alexis, saying, If the headache only came to us before we drink to intoxication, no one would ever indulge himself in wine immoderately. But, as it is, foreseeing not that punishment for drunkenness will come, we readily give ourselves over to drinking unmixed cups.
Unmixed cups.
Being a wine that wasn't watered down, and so much more likely to go to your head all the quicker. And if hangovers were such a
okay.
concern, even in Alexis's day, then I ask, what were
How
some
strict
of
the ruler was?
cures
Yeah, that's
that
what-
they
that's what he
had
just said,
floating
too.
around? Well, one of the oldest comes from
But
a
also it seems like the
Babylonian
general
tablet,
schooling
which
of
says,
Islam
"If a
didn't
man
change
has
until the
taken
12th
strong
century."
wine and his head is affected and he forgets his words and his speech becomes confused, take licorice, beans, oleander, and so
Hi,
forth,
Nova. How are
with
you doing?
oil and wine before the approach of sunset.
Is that
and in
copper
the
or is
morning
that
before
stone?
sunrise. And before anyone has kissed him, let him take it, and he will recover. So even then, over 3,000 years ago, they suggest something oily and a bit of the hair of the dog that bit you, that being a little bit more wine. They also suggest a little
Bloody Marys
oleander,
in the
which can
morning,
be
folks.
poisonous, so
Bloody
don't-
Marys in the morning.
Don't try that one at home. Also, I would not try the remedy for a hangover headache that Pliny the Elder gives us.
Oh,
Headache
no.
can be relieved when the patient drinks the water left in a trough after an ox or ass has been drinking there, and should we care to believe it, by the male organ of a fox worn round the head. Thank God for aspirin. Honestly, sometimes I feel like...
All
Pliny the
right, go
Elder
ahead and
is
put the
punching
fox
us.
penis around your head,
Does
chat.
he really believe these things that he writes down? Kind of think not.
All right, chat.
But
I have a
he does
trough
actually
here.
give
The
us,
donkey just
instead of a
drank
remedy,
out of
this
it.
is more of
I'm gonna go
something so
bottle
you
this
just
shit,
don't get
and then I'm
a
gonna ship
hangover
him
headache in the
with
first
the dried
place,
penis of a
and
fox.
that is to not drink wine that has been treated with resin. The ancient Romans would often add a type of resin to their wine to act as a bit of a preservative. But Pliny warns that new wine seasoned with resin is good for nobody, causing headache and fits of giddiness. For this reason, it has
called
been
being
named
drunk.
crapula. Crapula is the name of the resin that they would add, and it got its name from the Latin word for drunkenness, crapula. And after
literally the
drinking
same
some
name.
of this resin, the next morning you feel like crapola. Which, oddly enough, those two words are not linked etymologically.
What?
Now, as we move
That's
on
bullshit.
from the ancient world into
They
the
should be.
medieval
That's
world,
bullshit. Somebody rewrite that in history. Somebody rework that. How is that not related to each other? That's amazing. Wait, I'm upset. Damn it, English. You fucking suck.
many of the remedies are more similar to the ones that we would see today. Like, instead
Crapola.
of drinking out of a trough that a donkey drank out of, in the Islamic world it was suggested to drink lemonade with mint or quince along with your wine. This would just stop the hangover from even forming. Essentially, hydrate
I was
while
gonna
you're
say,
drinking,
that's just
and you won't
hydrating.
feel so bad in the morning. And I have found that to be absolutely true. And should you forget to hydrate, then just drink some cold water. You need to know that drinking cold water first thing in the morning is recommended only for people suffering from acute heat, fevers, and hangovers. However, they should avoid drinking it in one big
Mint
gulp.
julep?
Rather,
Oh,
they
mint
need to
juleps
have
are
it in
awesome.
several small doses and breathe deeply between
I could probably
one
find a
dose
video
and the
for like
other.
next
Well,
Tuesday,
that's
and we
good
could learn
advice.
about the history
As
of
is
mint
the
juleps.
advice given by the 14th century English royal
Because,
physician
hold on a
John
second.
Gadsden.
I have one of the earlier American mixology books, specifically about a famous bartender. I'm trying to remember his name. John something. I have the books. I may pull them out and do some research later today, and we may do a stream on it Tuesday. Mickey Cross, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Enjoy the show. Oh, I brain farted. But yeah, I have a book that's on like many of the famous dishes or not dishes, but many of the famous like bar fare, including like drinks, maybe some dishes thrown in there occasionally. But I do remember it actually has a large section on juleps, including the mint julep and why it was so popular on the US Eastern Coast and stuff. Oh, if you want, Jack, you can also put him in Discord.
Though his writing style is a
It
bit
was John
more
Cena, that's why you can't find it. God
specific,
damn it, hectic.
shall we say. He talks
In
about
food court.
drinking
Ooh.
a pomegranate wine that is flavored with some vinegar and sugar. But if anyone have drunk too much, if it be
Is
a
that
man,
rice and
the
soy sauce?
testicles should be washed with salt and vinegar, and if it be a woman, the breasts. Also, let them eat the leaf or the stalk or the juice of a cabbage with sugar. I mean, essentially, he's just saying, have a good wash and eat some vegetables, and that's a good way to kick a hangover. But his description is so specific. Now, if you go online and look up medieval hangover cures, you'll find a bunch that are just crazy. But I
Always.
don't think that many of
Fox
them
penis
are
around your head isn't the
actually
craziest.
true. I searched for like primary sources on a lot of them, and I couldn't find anything. They just pointed to other places on the internet where they were just repeating exactly what they had read on other places on the internet. Like one that suggests that if you have a hangover, the medieval people thought you would eat raw eel and it would come to life in your belly and drink the remaining alcohol.
What about jellied eel? That explains the British. Do you think jellied eel was just a hangover cure that went too far? I don't think I could convince myself to eat jellied eel. Depression era rice pudding. Oh,
I mean, paints quite a picture, but they didn't think that. That said, there was an actual idea that
That sounds like
eels
something
could
Carrie
be
would do.
used if you tended to overindulge in alcohol in the first place,
Oh.
but it wasn't by eating them. This idea originated
Fuck was
around
in
the
that
time
guy's
of the fall
mouth?
of the Roman Empire, but then it was written down again in the 17th century by
Culpeper.
Nicholas Culpeper, who wrote that eels being put
As
into
opposed to
wine
Elise
or beer
Culpeper.
and suffered to die in it, he that drinks it will never endure that sort of liquor again. And I mean, I guess that has to be true.
guys, I have this bottle of Jägermeister. It fucks me up every time. I need to stop having this. Here, buddy, I have a plan for you. We're gonna shove this eel into it, and then you're gonna drink it. So then you're gonna taste the Jägermeister, and then remember that there's an eel in it, and it's gonna correlate, and you're never gonna want to touch it again because you're gonna think that there's an eel in the bottle. Genius. Genius.
True. If you want to drink some beer, then take some eels and drown it in that beer, and you won't want to drink that beer anymore. Makes
Genius.
perfect sense to me.
Genius,
And
I
really,
say.
perhaps they should have used this prophylactic around the same time in Russia. There was a German scholar, Adam Olearius, who traveled to Russia in the 1630s and wrote that everyone in society
We're gonna traumatize you
was
with eels. Great
constantly
talk.
drunk,
Yep.
both secular and ecclesiastical, high and low, men and women, young and old. None of them anywhere,
That's a
any
cool
time,
painting.
or under any circumstance, let pass any opportunity to have a draft or a drinking bout. This surely led to
Bouts?
many hangovers. But, just like the people of 10th century Baghdad, they had a remedy for that. The
Is it more
Russians
meats?
prepare a special dish when they have a hangover. It's
more meat,
they cut
isn't it?
cold baked lamb into small pieces, like cubes, but thinner and broader, mix them with peppers
Thinner
and
and
cucumbers,
broader?
similarly
What?
cut, and pour over them a mixture of equal parts of vinegar and cucumber juice.
Cucumber
They eat this with a
juice.
spoon, and afterwards, a drink tastes good again. Lamb meat, green veggies, and vinegar. It is very much the same kind of dish as the one that we're making today.
I'm gonna say,
minus
yeah,
the-
kind of
the
just like a
kick, of
sour
course.
meat
So it
stew.
must have worked just as well as my greasy
A
burger
frat
and
game
fries.
gone wrong. It's
Now,
exactly what
one
it sounds
remedy
like.
That personally, I have never subscribed to is a hair of the dog, but clearly it works because people have been talking about it for centuries, for millennia. Having a little bit
Say the dog of the
drink
hair that bit you,
gave
in
the
this case.
hangover
More alcohol,
will
themes.
actually cure the
Oh, look at them
hangover.
themes.
So originally, of course, hair of the dog wasn't referring to a hangover and alcohol, but rather to rabies and an actual hair of a dog.
Oh,
In the
yeah.
first century, Pliny the Elder once again suggested that when a person has been
Pliny,
bitten
you
by
little
a mad
weirdo.
dog, he may be preserved from hydrophobia by inserting in the wound ashes of hairs. From
Oh,
the tail of the
hydrophobia
dog
is
that
in the
inflicted
symptom
the bite.
of
But
late
even though that's how the
rabies.
phrase got started, it came to refer to alleviating hangovers at least by the 16th century. In the work Gargantua and Pantagruel by Rabelais, he talks about a man who drinks an inordinate amount of wine, so much
Hey,
so
at least
that he
it's
is
better than,
elevated by
snake
Bacchic
wine.
enthusiasm. That is, he got very drunk. And so the character of Friar John asks what a pox ails the fellow? What ho devil has he swallowed? His eyes roll in his loggerhead just for the world like a dying goat's. Will nobody be so kind as to cram some dog's
Loggerhead?
bird down the poor cur's gullet? Will he take a hair of the same dog? This
The
is, of
sword
course,
and
the
staff?
theory
What is that?
behind the Morning Bloody Mary as a restorative. Though there are actually some liquors that were made specifically to cure ailments like hangovers. For example, the aperitif Fernet Branca was created in Milan in 1845 as a bit of a cure-all. It could rid you of worms or even
I don't think they
cholera,
sell this
but
anymore,
perhaps
though.
less impressive, but more practical. It was considered a cure or preventative for a hangover. Today, the
I'm pretty
company
sure
that
they don't
produces
sell-
it has dropped the claims that it will get rid of worms or cure cholera, but they have
I may be
held on
thinking
to
of
the
a
claim
different-
that it will prevent or fix a hangover. For me, one of the least appetizing hangover cures
Interesting.
has to be one of the most recent, and that is the prairie oyster, where it's been called that here in the U.S. since at least the early 20th century.
The what?
But my favorite description actually comes from Jeeves of P.G. Wodehouse's Jeeves and Wooster stories. Basically, when Jeeves first encounters
This looks like a
Bertie
funny as shit
Wooster,
book.
Bertie is trying to find a valet, kind of a butler sort of thing, and
Squats?
Jeeves
Oh,
is there to
man.
get a job. But Bertie has a terrible
Okay.
hangover, and Jeeves secures his job by
Yeah, I figured it was bull
making him
testicles,
up
but I think he was
what
mixing
essentially is a
prairie oysters and
It is
Rocky
a
Mountain
little
oysters.
preparation of my own invention. It is the Worcester sauce that gives it its color.
The
raw
Worcester
egg
sauce?
makes it nutritious. The red pepper gives it its bite. Gentlemen have told me that
that's
they have
Bloody
found it
Mary.
extremely invigorating after a late evening. I find the very thought of one of
spicy
these
Bloody
drinks
Mary.
even more nauseating than the hangover itself. But a
That's
lot of
just the
people
Bloody
swear by
Mary
it,
without the
so
tomato juice. What do you
who
mean?
knows? For me,
Are you telling me you
I'm
don't
gonna
put
stick with my
Worcestershire
greasy
and
burger
fucking red
fries,
pepper into your
unless
Bloody
I'm
Marys?
won over by this 10th century recipe for kishkia, which should be about ready to eat. And here we are, kishkia from 10th century Baghdad.
God, that meat actually looks
So I'm not
really
gonna lie,
good.
It's not the prettiest dish.
What do you mean?
It is what it is. It wasn't that
It's a
pretty,
stew.
and then I added the kishk, and it made it less pretty because it kind of makes it like this pale thing, and it has this shimmering layer of oil on the top, which in the poem he said reminded him of like a sheer dress.
I was gonna say, that's part of the good stuff of like good broth,
yeah,
having like that little
smells
bit of
quite good,
oil on top. It's
so
like, oh yeah, this is
try.
gonna be so fucking good. I like his copper bowl that looks like a flower. The thing with me when it comes to like stew and like
Doesn't look
curries
good,
and
but it
stuff,
actually tastes really good.
I like my kind of like mashy
really
looking
complicated. The
meals.
flavor.
Stuff that I can like toss
flavors
in
just keep
rice and like
coming,
mix
one
around
after
and it gets
another.
like really homogenous.
So the first thing that you do get, you get that lamb flavor. If you don't like lamb, you won't like this.
Aw.
But then you do get that kind of sourness from the verjuice and the kishk. And I don't love that. But then that is pushed aside in favor of the
I was
greens
gonna say, there's so many greens in there.
and the different spices that are in there. And
I'd
that's
probably
really
eat
the
this even
flavor
if I
that you're
wasn't
left with.
hungover.
What I really enjoy is the amalgam of textures.
The tender lamb
the meat,
meats.
But then
The
you
greens.
also have some of the onion that has been in there for so long.
It's
that
basically
it's now
sweet.
just kind of mush. But then also some onion that's only been cooking for half the time. So it's still got a little crunch. You've got a little crunch from the greens, but some of them have completely fallen apart. The
But are delicious are the best. Oh yeah, I like
chickpeas
some of
have
the best
their
dishes
distinct
I think
texture.
in like all of humanity's
Really
existence.
interesting.
Humankind's
I can see
existence
why,
is
just
made
like
up
any
by
stew,
dishes that are mush.
You're not feeling so great, this kind of thing.
Old-timey comfort food, most of it.
Yeah.
Presentational
I'm
crap
gonna
from
stick
gourmet
with my
cooking.
burger
I
and
agree.
Fries, partly because it's just easier, and I like burger and fries. But I can see why this definitely had its place. I do think that this would have to be made the day before you plan on drinking.
Oh yeah,
because,
trying to make something like that in the
one,
morning
it
is
would
gonna be
make
like,
the flavors
oh.
really kind of come together more. But also, nobody's gonna feel like making an hours-long stew with a hangover. So you
For
you
sure.
gotta think ahead. For me, I just try not to drink so much
I was gonna say,
anymore,
I bet Baghdad
because I
had
don't
like
a
shops you
hangover,
could just
so
go buy
a
food.
couple drinks and
I wouldn't doubt if there was like stores that
and,
like
that's called being 41. So have a happy new year. Don't drink too much, and
I wouldn't doubt for a goddamn second that like Baghdad had essentially like what was it? We've talked about how like Romans have basically like fast food places. the equivalent of a fast food place, little like cafeteria style places that would sell quick foods and stuff that they'd pre-prepared. I could see them doing that with like companies, or not companies, like festivals and stuff. Like those kind of places would essentially have this quiche dish pre-prepared. This is I'm going out to drink, make me the stew servant. It could be that. It could also be like food being sold on the streets would be a little better prepared. All right, guys, I think we are going to, let me see who is streaming. Oh no, Jane's going to Florida. Abiotic Factor. Zomboid. Faye. Okay. We're gonna raid Finn, because Finn looks like she's doing something goofy. Chat, how do we bully Finn? How could we bully Finn for a raid message? We are also not gonna be done for the day though, chat. Today is done over here on this channel. However, later tonight, I am gonna be over on Tibby's stream. I will post it in the Discord if you aren't in the Discord later. I highly recommend joining the Discord. That's how you can get alerts and stay up on the news. We are going to be playing Devoured later tonight. Stepstool raid? Okay, Stepstool raid, Stepstool raid. But what do we do for an emotes? Do we do the point and laugh arrive? Is that the one that we do? The point laugh arrive? Or do we do... I think we do the point and laugh. I think we do the point and laugh. Hi, Kerbelos. Stepstool raid. You can grab either of those guys, but I will be over on Tibby's stream later tonight playing Devour. And if you don't catch that, I will be back on Thursday at noon CST. We're going to be doing some more spooky stuff. Am I perfectly arrived for the raid? Yes, you did, Kerbelos. I am sorry, but thank you for coming in. Until next time, guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for being awesome. And thank you for enjoying the show. I will see you on Thursday if I don't see you tonight over at Tibby's. Good night.